Welcome to the Getting Naked with TJ podcast. To be honest, which is really all you're going to hear from me and the individual on, and just from me in this season of me. I don't know how to not be brutally honest, but I had to look up the name of my own podcast. It has been a couple years since I've had a guest or even wanted to get on this type of platform to present information that I feel you would gravitate towards and would be constructive and you could utilize in your lives. I've been doing Zoom intensive classes to go even deeper, but to do general topics like I have, or to even interview people, I just came to a point where I felt that there was nobody left of value to interview in the world of what I was kind of focused on 2 years ago. And it shifted, and I was just like, this is just so silly. Even solo podcasts were more masturbatory in nature, and Instagram lives and the whole bit, and just seeing where the world was going and where people were going. And these were the supposed health conscious people. And I just came to a point where I wanted nothing to do with 99.99999% of them. Should be for obvious reasons, but if not, you will find out very soon why. But there was just nobody to cast to the forefront to have anything that I felt was of value or anybody needed to hear. We needed to get back to deep clinical work. And then anything that I was putting out, I wanted to be of massive value. That's why I did the Zoom intensives. And if there was an interview of any kind or any sharing, it was with only one of two people. It was Dr. Cassie Huckabee, who still is the only name in medicine I trust. And I send her people regularly. And the other name is the gentleman that I'm going to welcome on right now. And we've got some ideas and some things going on. He's got some massive life changes. I've had some massive life changes. And we want to share with you on this platform, and then share some projects and things that we're going to be spearheading moving forward. Spearheading, I used that for the first time, I think just now for the first time. I had heard it used before. So anyway, without further ado, we have a guest, Vladimir Curguz. He's been on this show a couple times, twice by himself, and then I think once or twice with Dr. Cassie Huckabee. But he and I were chatting over the course of this last season, maybe this last 6 months, and talking about some things that are going on in our lives. And we thought it would be important and not a waste. And we've got some things to share that hopefully you could benefit from. Again, he's seeing the world where it's headed. I'm seeing the world where it's headed and where it has been headed. And we're going to get into some of that, I think, today. And so it just made sense that we could utilize this platform for something positive, something powerful, something life-changing, because that's the whole fucking point, is to change lives, not just reproduce, dribble, or read a book, copy someone's shit and put it out as our own, or heal a scab and then go say you're a scab healer. And generate income in business, or go get certified in something and position it in some scheme of some kind. I don't even want to spoil what we're going to get into and what this guy's got going on. But I don't trust many in medicine. If it's Dr. Cassie Huckabee, it's Dr. Cassie Huckabee. The name I trust. The other name I trust is Vladimir Curguz. There's a reason, because they're my friends. I've got many friends I would not trust their professions for. The people have been like, what about your relationship with so-and-so? What about your relationship with so-and-so? Still friends. I would in no way send them patients or send them clients or let those people work on their houses or let them. There's no way. Just because the person's my friend and they're a chef doesn't mean I ever want anybody going to their restaurant because their food is dog shit, but they're still my friend. And so that's the rub and the muddled line that some of them can't handle. Like, you're still my friend. If you want, I've blocked you on all these other things, but if you want to text me, go ahead and text me as a friend. But we're not going to talk professions, because I'd like to see your whole entire business completely fall apart. If I was being brutally honest, and the only time I'd ever say that is in medicine and health, because I think that's where it's the most important industry. It is the most important alliance you could form is with a health practitioner of some kind, because it is the most important thing in the world. Houses will come and go, cars will come and go, recipes will come and go, vacations and plumbing and clothing and toys and all these other acquisitions will come and go, but your body is yours, is here. Everything it's doing is making sense for you, and you need a guide that you can trust. It is literally the most trusting relationship, and I've just had to see mopped up cases where it's just they've trusted and gone in a direction, and some of them have gone all in. And that's what the beauty of going all in is, your body's not going to lie. And if it works all the time, not just temporarily, or not just in these regions or these latitude, longitude, or for this type of scenario or this age group or whatever it's going to be, but it works all the time. And so, again, it's hard for me to trust people because I put them through a filter that's pretty fucking thin, and microns of on purpose. I've lived long enough. I've been in the field of study long enough, coming up just over 24 years, this guy as well. And when we get to the 25th year, it's when we finally become students, according to samurai or black belts of some kind. But yeah, so when I say a name in health and medicine, it's a big fucking deal. And I need you to understand it's a big fucking deal. Because again, I know a lot of names. I know a lot of popular names. I know a lot of published names. I know a lot of best-selling names. I know a lot of empiric names, people with empires all over the place. And I would tell you right now, there's no fucking cell in my body I would trust to them as a professional. But if we want to grab coffee, let's grab coffee. But we're not going to talk business. We're going to talk plants and fucking snails and sandwiches. All right, I'm stalling. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little rusty. Let's bring the big guy out. And then I got to figure out a view for you that are doing video, because this is not just going to be on audio. It's going to be over on YouTube. My guy Jake is going to take care of this whole thing and producing this thing. All right, let's welcome the big guy in. Ladies and gentlemen, Vladimir Curguz. What's up, man?
Now, Mark, when was the last time? When was the
So
last
you
time?
didn't hear, I gave a pretty good intro. I gave an
Oh,
intro and I dropped some bombs. It had me swearing already. So
oh, good.
I was already worked up and into it. And I had to be honest with everyone. I had to look up the name of my podcast online to introduce it because I forgot what the name was.
TJ podcast.
Get Naked with TJ podcast. I was like, wait, what's the name of my podcast? I don't even know the name of my own podcast because I just haven't done it. And then I explained why I haven't done it, which is, the guests I had on, and it just got, there's enough. There's no more of this. And then the
Yeah,
solo episodes were like masturbatory, is what I said, where it's just like me just pulling off like on topic. Like, no, I'd rather go deep and have people be committed to something that's going to change. That's why I did those intensives, right? And then it helped shape. I said, I only trust two names, and it's you and Dr. Cassie. And I said, if we're going to do anything, it's going to be our projects. And so I kind of premised what we're going to share that's worth sharing, because we're not just getting on just to get on. To be totally honest, I'd like to be riding a bike on the coast, but we're gonna take some time right now and devote, because you've got some big news. I've made some changes, and then you and I are going to be doing some things that I said we are crafting. Or I think I used the word spearhead. I never used the word spearhead before, so I felt pretty good. And I haven't read. I don't read, but somehow these words are like flowing out of me. Imagine that somebody could like improve without reading, but experiencing. Anyway, let's get into it. What's up, dude?
yeah. No, when did we record this? Was it in 21 when we recorded the one that we posted?
Okay, now you're yelling, and now you're hitting my childhood wounds, and now
Are you
I'm
vulnerable?
I'm gonna have to pause.
Are you vulnerable right now?
Um, God, 2021, because I had an office. 22, I closed the office. I said, you and I have done two, and then you, me, and Cassie did one.
So yeah, with Cassie, I think they had to be 21.
Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I like stopped entirely when it was just okay. There's no more guests in that world that I'm now seeing on transparently, the freedom and health world and all that crap. And then it just did solo episodes or you guys. And then it was
Right.
just, I'm going to stop. And then it was transitioning to deep clinical work in office and then transitioning out of the office, um, which has been a whirlwind. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, a couple of years. So just before we start, I don't want to forget it. Just a quick update. I looked, like I told you, I watched that podcast again just to make sure it's still up to date. It still holds true. There's just one thing that I noticed I wanted to kind of update. I did kind of say there, but it wasn't very clear and it wasn't all in one spot. But one of the things was
Which
uh,
episode? So people, if they haven't seen it, can go back.
with the Cassie, what to do
Okay.
episode, the one that was on YouTube. Yeah, that
Okay.
one.
So it's the
The,
one with you, me, and Dr. Cassie. That's
right.
what
Yeah. The only one that I was on camera. No, I just wanted to be slightly more clear about that one. I did say you want to do training wise as much as you can recover from, but that's kind of too open ended. That I still think that holds true if you're say getting ready for something, professional athlete or some event or something that you want to do good. But in general, I don't know that that necessarily has to be the only way. In general, it can be all like array of things. It doesn't have to be as much as you can recover from, because that could be kind of hard to determine, especially in a day-to-day life when people have jobs and all kinds of influences that bother them. So I would just say take that with a grain of salt. In ideal conditions or getting ready for something
Yeah.
that's time limited, yes.
Right.
But on a
Right.
general basis, day to day, no. I'd even go as far to say maybe even do as little as you have to in order to get positive results. Maybe even say it that way. But
Right.
everybody has to figure that out for themselves, what that level is and what they want. And if it's realistic, that's where that being honest with yourself comes around. So just wanted to not forget that part. It's still true, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
maybe kind of explain it a little better.
No, it's interesting you said that because today I'm massively depressed and low, like energetically low.
This is
Um,
perfect because we're
Perfectly
doing,
appropriate. Like, yeah, that's the thing
yeah,
too. It's so people would be like, well, what are you gonna do for it? I'm not gonna do anything for it. I'm gonna use it as a guide, just like I would swelling of my ankle, because my depression today is no different than swelling of an ankle or a tight low back. What am I going to do within this? And so my training completely shifted as I was tending to myself and kind of processing myself. And I want to share, like right before you and I got on, because again, I was just like, oh, I had a dance lesson and it was 45 minutes and I almost bagged it. They're not physical in nature, really. It's just kind of going through, like, it doesn't demand any ounce of me physically. I mean,
yeah,
it's just more brain to like coordinate and then just to say, hi, how are you? And engage with another person. Right. Like that's it. But physically, it's not anything at all. But I almost bagged it because I was like, damn, man. And just even driving around town and just these perpetual thoughts that are coming in and things that I'm doing and changing. And I got to this point, I'm like, I did calf jump spinal hygiene. I do my primer in the day by the beach. And that's what I did this morning. It was like, all right. And I modified the bounces because I couldn't handle bounces to a level that I would be able to per who I was today. Right. I didn't even leave the ground. It was just kind of just rippling. And the people who took my intensive know what that is all about. Just modifying your way of doing it relative to who you are that at that moment. And so I did 100 double calf raises and then single leg calf hold bottom position, 5 minutes each leg. And that might be it. Yesterday was a complete other story. I did my finger holds on the board.
yeah.
I did, and I'm getting good at those. I did pulls. I did inverted rows with like stones on my chest. And a buddy stopped by right before I had a Zoom and the guy was a freaking badass. Like that's another thing with how I've transitioned and how you're transitioning. Like there's nothing just but badasses, right? Like that's the beauty part is you're like attracting the people that desire to really want to change, and then it's fun when they care. Because then you get to problem solve. You get to like use your brain and all this intellect and knowledge and testing and experimenting that we go through all the time. But yesterday was a total different show. And then last night I went to a movie. I saw Quiet Place day one, opening night.
Okay.
Badass. So was in bed early. So it's not anything if I'm tallying all these things. All right. Nope. And then I'm going in and I'm energetically low perfectly because it's always perfect. It's always an appropriate response to how I'm living. All right. Now it's for me to use, not for me to hide from, not for me to fix, not for me to alter or manipulate. No. And so today I'm like, wow, this is a massive low. And I was like, should I bag it? Because you and I could do this whenever, right? And you and I are super loose and free with kind of our scheduling. Like we schedule very rigidly with our time and our free time, but something like this we could very easily have postponed whenever. But I was like, you know what? No way. Let's go. I want people to see me low. I want people to hear about it. I want us to talk about it. What a great, I don't know anyone else that would do that or that would share, stuff they're going with. It's always a highlight reel. Like everything is presented as this like fucking highlight reel. And it's just, it doesn't make any sense. It's not even real what we're seeing and doing out there. And that was something you and I were talking about. What could we do because of the theatrics and the parroting and the what's it called? It's like God damn it. It's when you're faking it, but you're like masquerading. It's like masquerading a role, or it's like playing a role, literally in a play instead of the human. Because somehow, if you're low, something's wrong with you. If you're swollen, something's wrong with you. If you're slow, something's wrong with you. If you're injured, something's wrong with you. If you are pissing out your ass, something's wrong with you. If you can't digest grapes and blueberries, which was me 4 months ago, something's wrong with you. No, nothing's ever wrong with me. There's always some reason why it's happening. It's that fucking good. And so when we listen to it and then honor it and respect it, then kind of along the lines of what you were touching upon. So I'm low today, bud.
Yeah, no, that's the key, what you were just saying, because it's very easy to do things when everything is feeling good. When everything is not great, like in my case, same thing with this podcast and stuff. As you know, I'm not the huge fan of technology. And then I'm like that. What's his name? John, yeah, from Wedding Crashers. I travel in enthusiasm, man. Like I'll get on this wave
Vibe on
of,
enthusiasm.
yeah, of wanting to do things, and then if I can do it right there, it'll be one me.
Yeah.
Right now, we set up this appointment, but not necessarily like, oh my God, I just can't wait right now to jump on this podcast. And I thought about the same. I don't know how this is happening. This happens with us quite often. I thought about the same exact thing. It's probably good that we do it like this when we are not, say, 100% like in tune with everything. But the key is to recognize and to feel it, which I think most people do have the ability, if not everybody, I don't know if it's absolute or not, have the ability to feel it, but they don't really listen, or in combination or by itself. They're on some sort of meds of various sorts. They'll block those signals. Yeah. And that completely changes the behavior and everything. So it's like perfectly in tune what you're saying. And the reason I asked when was the last one, because it's been sort of 3 years. You closed the office, you said December in 22, right? December.
This is great. We're doing a podcast and neither one of us want to do it.
Yeah. So you get us on a bad day and then see how we are on a bad day. I mean, you can still function.
Dude, that's what
I'm not, I'm not pretending like, oh my God, everything is awesome. No, I said
you're going to get brutal honesty from me, which everybody kind of already knows. But I mean, even now to this level, and I said, and the guy we're having on here, it's going to be the same thing. And then we go into this, and it's just.
I think that's the beauty of it, because you can still. There is so much that you can do, regardless of what your current state is. Obviously, when you're down and low, you're not going to maintain then for a long time, like some chronic periods of time, exhaust yourself and get into a sickness or injury. But like acutely like this, the performance of the podcast or training, if you go and train now, we can still do pretty much the same thing.
Sure.
For one time or two, the acute performance is not going to be that much affected. It's just not sustainable.
Repeatable.
For the long time.
No, we couldn't hold it.
Yeah. And
there would be repercussions. There would be repercussions. Like we could try, Like a lot of our
Yeah,
clientele will try to keep up with that, right? And then it's just like, oh my God.
yeah, yeah. You'll pay the price. Everything has a cost to it. Nothing really is free. There is cost for everything. And interesting also,
Wait, you asked when did I close my office?
yeah,
22.
December
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 31st,
22.
2022. Yes.
Then I think it was before this year, before I went to Serbia in May. We spoke because we just catch up, what, like maybe 1 to 3 times a year, say, and have a couple hour catch up conversation. But it's interesting that prior to me going, we were also at the same wavelengths again, because I mentioned about possibly making this another podcast, and you said you were thinking about the same thing also along the same timeline. I'm like, holy shit, okay, so there is something to it, because similarly happened in the past, right? And then you knew about my plans
Mhm.
longer than most people, but I asked not to be shared until I finalized it and told clients. But anyway, I'm retiring, guys, just so you know. Well, officially retiring end of August, closing the gym. So we'll see what will happen with it. That doesn't matter really. But yeah, we talked about it last summer when you visited around
July.
August or something,
End of
July.
July, beginning August. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Because mom was coming for visits. She just got here when you were here.
Yep.
So I told you, and like, what? I said, yeah, just gonna take a year to sort of really, really make sure not to like jump into anything, because it's a bit different also. Maybe for me, because it's also different country, right? And I've been here longer, so uh, I didn't want to just sort of close it, right? I wanted to make sure that it's a solid decision before, because I'm going to move back home to Serbia beginning of September, and then just wanted to make sure everything is sort of smooth by then, so to speak. And then when we spoke this maybe April or May,
No, it was
like,
March
yeah,
13th because I was in the desert. I
oh,
had
was
a
it March this year?
I had a
Okay.
journey in the desert and was coming back from that journey. And I
So
called you, and that's
yeah,
when we both hit up.
yeah. So that's what it was. So I said, all right, let's do another podcast, see what we change. And then I wanted to make that correction or
Yeah,
update on that one thing. The rest, I think I watched it twice in the last maybe 2 months. I think it all holds true. I don't really have
sure.
uh, anything to say. And yeah, man, we are not on the edge of the abyss like you were hoping for. We are free falling, and so far so gooding until it stops. So anyway, went home 3 weeks in May, got back. Then I didn't really announce. This is kind of funny. Didn't announce it right away, because when I was coming back, basically half of that was my reason. Half the plane was sick, right? Everybody around me was coughing. And the only time when they're not coughing and just like sneezing was when they would be asleep. So I said, all right, I don't want to say things in the gym on Monday, for example, and Tuesday, and then I express symptoms from whatever that was. And now I'm out till next week, and it's kind of weird. So I'm like, let's see what happens. Nothing happened, right? Didn't get sick. Knock on wood, everything worked out fine. And then Monday, when I announced, that was 2 weeks ago, most people found out then, and Tuesday. I didn't know what to really expect, what kind of reaction I'm going to get back. But the reaction was in
So hold on. Let me preface what exactly you just did. So you've been in the States working in the profession for how long?
professionally since 2001, but I've been in this business since about 95.
Okay.
But I've been in States since 98 of January.
98 of January, and you've been fairly in the same location because you've had the same apartment.
Same location since '01, yeah.
And so you've acquired relationships, you've acquired clientele. You people only know of you and I when you, I, and John were together for like what, 12 years?
Yeah, about.
11 or 12 years, early 2000s to mid 2000s. Then I went to school 2010 and then came back and spent a year and then we go. But so you've had regularity in a hometown, basically a hometown where you've set up shop. You have a shingle outside that's been Vlad, like you are the trainer or whatever people would call you of this area. You've acquired, people know you. You've interacted with so many different levels of clinical work that now all of a sudden you are going to tell them something I've known since last July, but you're just going to let them know that you are, and your business, again, it'd be like me with mine. It's your show. There's nobody else in there. You don't ask permission from anyone. You're not an IC, you're not an employee, you're not an anything. It's Vlad's gym in Lake Bluff, Illinois. It's your shit. It's your equipment. It's your style. It's your cleaning stuff. It's your music. It's your plants. It's your everything. It's your clientele. Hand fucking picked. And now you're coming in and you're going to say this. Like, that's just what? Like, I just needed it to be said because, like, oh, you're just closing your gym. Hold on. 20 some years of having a place, a physical space in Illinois. And you come in Monday and you said, how do you even go about that? Like, how do you even?
Yeah, and like most of the clients that I have
I
are
love it.
12 to 15 years. I even have some of that are about 20 years.
Yeah.
So that's a long relationship. So it's not just turnover business, just
No, it
hit as
goes
many
deeper
people
than
as you can,
school.
change
Like,
them.
it goes deep. Like, everyone's like, oh, my college buddies, dude. It goes deeper than that. Well, you know what I mean? Like, again, we sustain it. That's where we met.
No,
But
for example, kids were what, like eighth graders. Now
yeah,
they're all married with kids. I
yeah,
business guys that were in the late 40s, like I am now, that are now closing in on 70. Same people. So there is that longevity. So it became like a almost like part of extended family. So
yeah.
no, I was really nervous because, as you know, and as the clients know, everything, most things that I do in there at least it's very personal to me and I'm very like emotional about it. It's not just business, right? So I'll really feel it. So I was under adrenaline. Like I in the gym I wear long sweatpants, long sleeves, sweatshirt. Temperature is 70, but I'm fine. I'm like comfortable, right? Fairly lean, so I'm not this. I was sweating. I got to gym at 5 a.m. and till about 9. I didn't start till 6, but I usually get about an hour early because I like to breathe a little bit and make sure everything is okay and calm down before it starts. And then, till about 9:30, when I finally everybody knew from that day, and then there were a few people left for Tuesday. I sort of calm down because I was in that alarm stage, right? I
Oh
was in
yeah.
a,
I
I don't
can't
know what the
even.
responses are going to be. So I'm going to be fighting or I'm going to be fleeing. But neither one of those I had to do. So I was just in alarm stage the whole time. My adrenaline was going. I was like cold sweating. And it's not the most comfortable thing because I do respect the longevity that was there from all the clients with me. So whatever I might say about some or here or there, I still have to respect the fact that all these things that I'm about to do and that I was doing, they were part of that at whatever level, and they helped that come to fruition. So it was very difficult thing to do. So I didn't really know how to say it, right? So first guys came in about 5:45,
I would have given him a
and
note.
I was thinking,
I would
but
have like handed him a note. Like, I don't do well on this. I'm working on that. Like, bad news or whatever, or real serious stuff. No, here's a note. Wait, you're leaving?
yeah, that would be much easier. But I
Here's
said, I
another
don't
note.
know how else to say this, guys, but here it is. Now, people just woke up, right? They just came to the gym.
That's the thing, and they come and it's habitual, and they're on like a path of, oh, it's
Yeah,
they have Vladdies.
and it's Monday, right? We are starting the week. So I said, big news, guys. I will be retiring end of August and closing the gym. He was like, what? are you are you serious? You're joking?
Joke.
But my face was
Right.
serious.
Right.
So it was immediate shift in atmosphere. It got extra cold, but I'm sweating regardless. Um, Kind of like a funeral. You would, if you came from outside, you would think that something bad happened in the gym. It was very emotionally charged, and people were almost like shell shocked. It got really quiet. There wasn't a single comment about music. I generally play classical unless we switch to something else. Not a single comment, and just was quiet, like really quiet, and they were kind of almost like whispering in between each other. One guy even said, he goes, "Damn, Vlad," he said, "you're the most consistent thing I have in my life." And unfortunately, the wife was there.
His
She
wife
turns around,
attacked him.
"Thanks, babe." You're like, well, you know. So that's how that Monday went, and then some feedback that I've gotten after via text. I guess some people were texting in between, like, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do?" Trying to like basically process this information, I guess, would be the best way to put it. And oh, somebody said I left a trail of broken people. Everybody's in disbelief, like panicking, like what? So when I look back, Monday afternoon and Tuesday, I took all of that as a really big compliment, because that's so there was no words, right? You can tell me whatever you want, which is fine, but if you don't express it through your action or emotion, then it kind of doesn't really have a whole lot of weight, would you say? It's kind of empty. Well, here there were almost no words. It was all emotion and behavior, and it was heavy, like really, really heavy. And that sort of made me feel very good about everything. Not sad, but really happy. I have to say happy, even though it's a huge change and all that. But I didn't know, like I said, what to expect. But even if I was expecting anything, this was probably best case scenario now looking back, because it's exactly what I like to see. Emotion, and you really can't fake that. You can see how much it actually meant to them this whole time, and that I don't think you can really buy that sort of thing. It cannot be like you say, like acted and faked. It was a real thing. Then Tuesday was a little easier because I had Tuesday people still the same thing. Oh, somebody said on Monday, well, happy Monday, good start of the week. Then the other guy said, he said, all right, so September we can all now schedule our surgeries, because I have multitude of clients, obviously, that haven't had a surgery in 5, 10 years, even though 8 years ago the surgeon said, no matter what, you'll have a shoulder surgery in half a year, or no matter what, you'll have hip replacement. Well, that hasn't happened, and I don't know if their joints or cartilage is rigor or not, but no symptoms. They do everything they want to do.
Sure.
One
That's the important.
guys joined this winter mountain rescue, like for skiing, ski patrol in Wisconsin. Had one replaced hip before he starting with me. Then when he started, it was first cortisone failed, and then his other hip was hurting, and surgeon told him regardless what he does, there always going to be pain, and they'll try another cortisone and then replace it. So okay, that's what he said. Fine. 3 months later, zero pain, but the guy can't really believe it, because it's so. That's another thing. It's very strong how much not importance, what is the word, how much weight people put on what doctors say. It's very a lot still, even now. I don't know why that is. Whatever doctors say, basically, for most people, trumps immediately any reasoning, any critical thinking, anything. So anyway, hip is not hurting, but he tells me this, but then he says in the background, but the doc said that's not possible. I said, okay, fine, that's what he said. But do you feel pain? No. And now, almost 2 years later, he's on a mountain rescue for winter skiing. No pain, no nothing. So anyway, that was some of the feedback that I received, and I made me feel pretty good about the whole thing. And then as we talk further, I have a couple examples that I'll bring out, not specific to injuries, but kind of wow, maybe we can start now. Why I feel the way I feel.
I want to make a point. Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
because you had said what sucks is Vladi and I already talked for 3.5 hours, and it would have been good to have the first conversation be this podcast. So we're going to be repeating ourselves because I wanted to go back, because there was gold in that 3.5 hour conversation that would be gold here. We'll try to recreate here, right?
Which conversation? The one that we had like a week ago or a couple days
Last
ago?
when I was driving back from
Concert?
yeah.
Oh, so that was like last week or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's because I wanted to hear how it went. Like when you broke the news to them, I wanted to hear. And when you were breaking down everything and you were sharing the emotional responses and everything else, and um, that's what it felt good because again, in something where what is it? Is it just contentment or what is it where you just get used to, and unless something is taken away, you don't understand the value, right? Or unless something is, but
Well,
they're
you
not.
take it for granted or it's a given.
It's that whole right, and it's very easy for the human psychology to do that, right? Like you just
Yeah. Yeah, we all do it.
of things you're exposed to at all times, like totally.
Yeah.
And you in loss, you're liking the response. Like it's like, oh man, because you take it so seriously, not you're monetarily gaining in some way by manipulating. No, you're like, oh my gosh, I guess I really did touch some people. I guess I did inflict some massive change to some lives on levels that, and you said it was almost like a death, like a mourning of a death. And what jumped out to me, and I want to repeat it here because it's huge, because again, not on a parallel, I experienced the same things. I experienced even some anger when I closed my office. Like they were like angry. And it's not like, who am I going to find? It was because you're more than they aren't. I said, I don't even think they really understand professionally what you are. I don't think they understand the depths of what you could do clinically speaking, if we're going into that world. Because nobody would. It'd be a very small percentage of people that would be like, hey, here's a puzzle. And you're like, oh, let's go. Like, project. This is amazing. I've been reading books for the last 20 years and I've been applying all these things and testing on myself. I've got so much I want to share. Oh, none of you want to hear it? Okay, fine. I'll just do it on myself. Or you and I'll shoot it back and forth. But so it wasn't like they were losing a professional. They were losing a accredited CPT bullshit, whatever bullshit. They're losing a friend. They're losing a father figure in some respects. You've had kids in there, right? They're losing.
I have many Vladimirs.
A brother, and that's another thing. I just saw. Well, I'll bring it up later. The nicknames. She referenced somebody I was referencing as your nickname you gave him. She's like, "Oh, is it Lieutenant Dan?"
Lieutenant Dan.
It was Heidi Serks. I saw Heidi Serks on the road here, and it was her and her husband. And I'm like, "Oh, I just had a Zoom with Dan." She's like, "Is it Lieutenant Dan?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
She remembers your nicknames of your people. So Vladdy has nicknames. He does not call anybody by their name. It is always nicknames, and we can get into that because it's flipping hilarious. But a father, a brother, a fucking, social connection, therapist, support system, protection, safety. Like it's whatever the relationships of all the nature that come in, that's who they're ultimately losing, that their insides understood because you felt it. Even though no words, you could feel what was going on. That's very real, even though nobody's going to acknowledge that. Like, no, that's a very real thing. So it wasn't because they could find another trainer or you could recommend somebody that's actually kind of decent, but like who puts it all together in the way that you do or the way that we do or the way that nobody does it like you. And that's who they're losing per se. That's where it's like grief, massive grief, because they're going to miss that person. And that's one, you're not doing it by tactic. That's just how you work. That's just how you are, right? Like that's just how you roll with it. You didn't like sit one day and go, "Ooh, I'm tactically going to win them over, and then I'll be able to infuse this knowledge into it." No, it's just who you are and how you do things. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? That was one of the reasons I trust you. I'm having deja vu like a mother right now. Right now. It's still going. Holy
the black cat just walked by twice.
Oh my God. and I got obsidian in my hand, baby. Um, yeah, so that's what I wanted to bring apart because that's part of what the intro was when I was getting into things. I said, in my opinion, who you choose an alliance with in health and medicine might be the most important decision, in my opinion. Because I said, I know a lot of people in medicine. I know a lot of people in health. I know a lot of people in training. I know a lot of people in building homes. I know a lot of chefs. I know a lot of restaurant owners. I would not in a fucking million years recommend their business to anybody, but they're still my friends. We can still text and get into, but I'm not gonna shoot the shit on professional with you because I don't want to hear it. I don't agree with anything you're doing. You're dangerous, especially in health and medicine. And I would in no way. That's why there's only two names I trust. This is one of the reasons. You closed your shop to retire, to do something personal and massive and powerful. Your life is elevating. And when you broke the news to them, it was as if somebody had passed because sort of they did a changing season of you're in a chrysalis and they're like, "Where's my friend? Where's my Monday therapy?
Yeah.
Where's my work husband or whatever they joke with, or where's my work wife or my work? You know what I mean? Like that whole, yeah, or my DJ." Or honestly, I don't know if you go out. I did back in the day there, like my drinking buddy, because we'd go out. I would go out with like Pewter and
Of
those
course, we were going out. We were going out pretty
we
hard.
go
Like a
hard. I
lot of
would
people
golf with them. My 30th birthday was like all my clients, and I'm just like to the brim watching 16 Candles, the 80s cover band, just
Yeah,
getting housed and tore up. But
it was in Cubby Bear North, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the relationships we carry, the depths of it, and there's lines and everything else we know, but it's very personal because it is a relating, especially with this
Yeah.
repeat kind of efforts. And so why it's so gravitational with what you just did, what you just shared. I just want to kind of shape around what exactly just happened and what you're doing, and then try to paint the picture also, and then bring forth the human aspect of this fucking rad time. Because you're going,
Yeah.
and I don't, you might have even, if you want to share, I don't know. That's why I asked. I'm like, how did you feel? Because I
Yeah.
want to know, like, what was your response? Yes, we're concerned about all these people that had you as their role of whatever, but how did you feel? If you could share on that.
Yeah. So no, huge emotion. Let me just jump kind of
Yeah.
ahead before this. I don't want to forget it because it's kind of important a little bit to me. So, last week I was at the local gas station getting gas, whatever, carb oil change. You remember Fima, the
Yeah.
old Russian
Yeah.
coach?
Hell yeah. Dude, hold on. He wrote a manuscript on fasting. The first time
Yes.
I ever met Vladdy was coming off of a 3-week water fast with his head shaved like this, and the dude was not tan. So you can imagine what you looked like 35 pounds lighter or whatever it was.
Well, 40. So right now I'm around 235 ish. When you met me, I was about 185 because I was at the tail end of that. What is that
50,
about? About
50 pounds lighter,
yeah.
shaved head, alabaster skin, like coming off Fima. So explain who Fima is,
Yeah,
because
so that's my Russian mentor. I met him at that time it was called the Bannerburn Club. It's Midtown Athletic Club. I think they're more known for tennis, but it's like a health club. His name is Fima Fagin. He was one of the founders of the Russian Bodybuilding Federation, and he's Olympic caliber master of sport in fencing, and he trained in Russia before. And it'll make sense once I tell you how old is he.
yeah,
In the in 60s, the Olympic fencers, I guess, or whatever it's called. Fencing is the sport. So anyway, I haven't seen him in a few years. People have been asking me, and I'm bad about keeping in touch with
of
people. I
course.
should be better, but I am bad. Anyway,
No, we're
is
good.
Fima alive? I said, I haven't heard anything different. So anyway, I'm at the gas station outside waiting for a car. Nice day. Jeep pulls right next to the front door of the track gas station.
Where are
And
you?
I
Where
look
are you?
inside,
Where are you?
huh?
Where
I'm
are
in
you
by
in
Midtown.
town?
I'm by Midtown. That's Bannockburn.
Okay.
Over there, it's off a half day and
Yeah.
Waukegan.
Yeah. I
That
got
Shell.
I got a
Yeah, then it's
DUI.
like
I got a DUI on Half Day Road. So
it's a Shell's gas station right
back
there.
to that.
So that's right. That's when you were riding a bike.
Yeah, I was riding a bike for a month, and I said it was to get in shape because I didn't want anybody to know.
Yeah. So I see somebody in the car. I look. God damn, it's Fima. Fima looks from the car, recognizes me, comes out, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is destiny, man."
Nice.
And Fima is like, "Vlad." So we embrace and stuff, and he goes, 97, Vlad. He just turned previous week 97. Drives by himself. Go ahead.
Dating
Go
a
ahead.
50-year-old.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Is he dating a 50-year-old?
Up until a few years ago, he had two girlfriends. I didn't ask him the situation now because he can't hear anything right now. So he goes, and I'm watching
97.
him.
Okay.
He has like sweatpants, sweatshirt, but like cowboy boots. I don't know, it's his style. He always would been dressed like that. He just climbs over the curb by himself, nothing, just normal.
Yeah.
Slow down a little bit. Physically looks about the same. Moves a little bit slower, and I don't know, he might have had something or didn't. But 97, man, no glasses, and he goes, Vlad. He said, I have a problem." So what's the problem? He said, "Can't hear. Otherwise, I'm okay." So I yell in his ear. He's like, "Yeah." So I yell in his ear. He said, "I think it's better. I really think nowadays it's better that you can't hear." And he smiled. He said, "Yeah, I don't have to listen to all this bullshit."
Right.
So anyway, yeah, that was. I just wanted to give a shout out to Fima. 97, still going, still doing everything by himself. And that's the guy that was my first mentor for the fasting that you mentioned.
Yeah.
That I did. That was in fall or winter of 2002.
Yep.
2002 winter, and went into a spring in 2003 because we met in May. And I was maybe when you met me I was maybe like 190ish or something. I might have came back like a few pounds. So I did with him this 3 week, and you've done a bunch of them in the
Yeah.
past.
Not
Three
that
week
long.
just straight water, distilled water fast, and then there is procedure. I don't need to go into detail now.
Right.
What you have to do to help yourself and stuff. It's one of the fasts that I've done. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's Fima's story. So you ask how I feel. That was the question actually when I told my parents the same week that I told you 2 weeks ago. I broke the news in the gym, and I usually call my parents on Thursday. Somehow works out that way. So Dad goes, "I want you to explain to me.
Hmm.
Don't just tell me like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Just tell me how you feel now."
Yeah.
And I said, "Shit, okay, that's really good question." And I said, "I feel totally fulfilled. Like I told him, I don't feel that I need to prove anything really, not to anybody, but even to myself. Although I always it's hard for me. I always have like another thing that I sort of have to see.
Yeah.
But in general, I said, if I don't do anything professionally from now on until forever, I'm good. And I'll tell you, and the guys that are watching us, why I feel that way. I said, I'm good, totally fulfilled, and professionally, and I said on personal, more importantly, as a human being. That's what we mentioned last podcast. This one on the YouTube with What to Do podcast is that physical is the least of it, right? Anybody, like what you said, anybody can go to almost any trainer, and with few years experience, if they're not lunatic, you'll be all right. I mean, you get in some sort of shape or whatever it is, but that's not the main goal. That we were trying to improve people's thinking and brain and just everything else, and that's hard to do. And you can't really do that if you try to maximize business as business, because that's the game. Most people in the area, most people that I know, they look at it straight as business, right? How much we can get in, and then are we going to open second location, third? But that you can't. If you are you can't possibly be in multiple location. The quality will go down. Like something has to sacrifice, and that was never my goal. And as you know, I must have kicked out 25, 30 kids or told them not to come anymore, and probably 5, 6 adults. And what's, I think it's modestly so, it's kind of unusual. So I knew for sure that I'm closing in May. I mean, I knew it for maybe close to a year, but 100% say beyond any doubt now after this my last visit, right? So I think a lot of people, when they know they're out, they'll probably try that end period to do as much as they can, right? Because you're out, you're not doing anymore.
Yeah.
I did the opposite. I I cut down the hours even more, down to 4 days a week
Sure.
instead of 5. Kick Saturdays out, kick Thursday out. So only work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. And 6 to 10, and Tuesday is 8 to 10, because this is my reasoning. Because it's a big move, and going back home to Serbia, but it's a different country, as I mentioned in previous podcast as well, than from what I remember, because I've been gone since '98. So I have to adjust again. And another thing is, I think I told you, now, when I speak Serbian, which is my native language, I have a bit of American accent. Paint button is in the background. People can hear it. And I speak English with an accent. So I don't have one language that I speak accent free. And I told people, they said, how are you going to? Well, I'll get used to it. It's just going to take time. But I think in English. I dream in English. I will swear something. Everything is in English, right? When I was home, temperatures are in Celsius, or wind is meter per second. I'm like, wait a minute, what a freaking is a meter per second Celsius? I had to go and look at our weather app here, because
Yeah.
I'm so used to it. Majority of my life is being spent here. So it's a huge change. So back to emotion. Here, I'm going to give you, I'll explain it through the examples. I think it's better. These are personal examples, and I have permission to share them from respective clients, just so you see what I'm sort of talking about. Two are heavy. One is rebirth, cycle of life. So I'll start with the really heavy one, sort of, since we started with the depression and not feeling the podcast.
Yeah.
So here is the heavy one. And I asked specifically the person if
Sure.
I can share it. And she said, absolutely. So maybe 10 or so, 10, 12 years ago, one of my clients had a baby, and something wasn't caught. I guess if only you can only catch this condition if you're looking for it. Something didn't really develop properly, neurons didn't connect or something. So as soon as the baby is born, the docs can sort of say something is off, and then they check, and it's, I don't know the name now, it's some sort of syndrome that it's not survivable. They can keep the baby on the machines and support, but the longest surviving one was something, maybe 2 years or something like that. But it's not life, it's just extending the inevitable. Or you have the options to take your child home and care for it however long it goes. And that's what they chose. Uh, the baby was unable to swallow reflex didn't work, couldn't digest, so couldn't get in water, couldn't get in food, just whatever maybe mucous membranes can absorb. However, from both families, mothers and fathers, everybody was there the whole time, and nurses would come. The baby was held the whole time. This baby lived for around 3 weeks, plus or minus a few days. So first thing, that was one of the hardest things that I was a part of. And I'm happy that, so that's what you said, you're part of someone's life. So that's the part of the life. And now you tell me, trainer, whatever, doing bullshit push-ups and da-da-da. No, man, this is like real stuff. This is not me going on a fucking who did better time on whatever WOD.
But
This
this
is
was 10 years ago, but how long had she been with you and me prior to
yeah,
that, right?
after was continued with me after you left, right? But 20 years, 20 plus years,
Yeah.
right? So that's their relationship. So anyway, for one thing I've learned from that is that holy shit, how much potential we have. So this is a brand new human that is supposed to be burning through energy, right? Gaining every day,
Yeah.
ingesting, unless it's sleeping, uh, or eliminating, ingesting energy the whole time.
Yeah.
So this little human being held, receiving that human warmth and energy, was able, without water and food, man, was able to sustain himself for around 3 week period of time.
Yeah.
And then it passed. I'm like, holy shit, that's pretty hard.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm back on. So then And I knew something was wrong because the mother, when she walked in the gym, because it's like, hey, how is the baby? And I felt the reaction right away because it was like a day or two after birth. And I'm like, what's wrong? And then she told me, I'm like, holy shit. Anyway, after this whole event happened, I told mom, just come to the gym every single day. Don't think about anything, sessions, not sessions. That doesn't matter anymore. Mm-hmm. Come to the gym every day, and it doesn't matter what we do. Just come and we'll see. At that point, this is what she told me later, right? At that point, she was on all kinds of, or some sort of meds to try to keep her some sort of even killed, because I can't, it's unimaginable what emotionally that does to a mother. And then first child at that. I don't know that it can be anything harder and more difficult than that. Right. So she was on all kinds of meds, and she works at the school, and she said she would have unregulated how these bouts in between like panic attacks, or if she can do, it was like short period and she would hyperventilate. It was all these kind of things. Medication didn't do a whole lot, but it was making her loopy and crazy. Anyway, after about 2 or 3 days of coming to the gym every morning for school, she stopped with all the medicine. And she told me this later. And it doesn't matter what we did or we didn't do. Just in short, you just watch people, right? So, well, I'm going to be like, oh, do this. No, just walk back and forth. That's it. Just like what we said last time. Just more simple. Whatever you can do. We got to go back to that. Just walk back and forth. Now, my job is to watch you. And then when I see you're approachable, then I'll approach you and tell you something. And we cry the whole time, but that's just part of the human emotion. We can't ignore what happened. It's just natural. 3 days into it, she told me she and her mom confirmed she stopped with all this medication because she stabilized. It had such a profound effect on her that her mood swings and time periods in between those were extending, and the peaks were not as high. And she was able to come back from them a little easier and a little easier and a little easier. And that sort of event, for example, solidifies that bond. So just that one example of what I saw and stuff would be enough for me, right?
Right.
That's one heavy one. One other one, I'll just pick three. There is obviously a lot more, but just to briefly, you guys get the feel for how I do this. It's not like I told guys, they're like, it's not personal, it's business. Well, for me, it's all personal. Like
Business is
Cuba Gooding Jr. said in the Jerry Maguire, I'm all heart, motherfucker. When he like, show me the heart. Remember? In a locker?
Motherfucker?
Yeah. So that's what it is. No, it's all personal. I'm sorry, business secondary. So a second example, I worked with a guy in his late 80s at this fancy pants nursing home. This was maybe 10 years ago. It's like 20 some grand a month for the shitty room with like shitty bathroom and nurses up your ass the whole time.
Right.
And medicated out of their mind. So a friend of his that knew me asked if I would work with him there. Okay, go there. He can only sit on a bed, but can't really stand up.
Yeah.
After about, and I said, we'll go twice a week. He said, three is too much. He can't recover. I can come there, but I don't feel like taking money. It's not, I want to do something that makes me want to come back. Not because you're paying, but because you're doing something.
Right.
So twice a week for now. After about 3 weeks, he was able to get up and down from his bed unassisted 10 times. So 10 bed squats. And we marched down the hallway, right? We marched. I would follow him with my hands, just so he doesn't fall. Yeah. We start with like 5-10 seconds. We build up to 5 minutes total in like 30-second increments. He did say something very interesting. When I started with him, he said, which I didn't really dismiss, but I didn't really put that much weight on it. He said, Vlad, I'm kidnapped. They kidnapped me here. And he said, and I could remember at that time we were messing around with like lucid dreaming and stuff. Yeah. There was a lot of that stuff happening. He said, I was dreaming. He said, I saw you coming through the wall and here, see me. I'm like, okay. I sort of put it like back of my mind, didn't give it that much attention, but he was not joking. He was kidnapped. This guy should have been home. Sure. He was there, and this is what they do. I don't know if this is the case in most nursing homes. I'm assuming so. They basically medicate. They try to keep him in bed as much as you can. They have these activities They don't really want to work with these people. Anyway, 3 weeks, 10 unassisted squats by himself from the bed, marching for a total of 5 minutes, down and back. So, for example, say I see him Tuesday, Friday. Tuesday, I see him awesome. Handshake is improving because I give him one hand, the other hand squeeze, and I gauge how much he squeezes. I don't have exact number, but I can feel if he's similar or stronger. Start getting a little stronger, and he'll be like, "Yeah, let's do it again." Yeah, man. So Tuesday, great session. I come Friday, he can sit on the bed by himself. He's just like fading and fading. What happened? It was a list of, I think, 10 to 12 probably medications, but half of them for some reason got switched. I don't know if this is what insurance or how they're doing this, but they switched half and had this insanely negative effect on him.
Right.
And can sit, didn't train, just came to see him. And then I went to see him a few more times over the next 2 weeks. They moved him to a different hospital, and the guy passed. And I'm like, holy, and this is what I saw in real time. And I saw the guy a few days because I continued to go to the other place, not to train, just to see what happens, if we can come back, or just to spend 30 minutes with the guy because he liked that and I could read what's happening.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, man, I'll come and see, because I'm not training or not getting paid now. I'm not. That's insane, because this to me is more valuable. The time, and just the fact that you want to see me and you know what's happening too. You just told me, but I kind of almost dismissed it. 2 weeks passed, and then, so that's another, I think, strong example of.
When did he pass? Sorry?
When?
Yeah, how long ago?
That was about 10 years ago or so.
And prior to that, how long were you working with him?
Just, only like 3 weeks. And then they switched meds, and he only lasted 2 more weeks after that. It was tremendous progress. And we would talk, and I would joke. These guys would sit outside of this is how we do it. Guys know you, maybe a little less me. So they would have them sit outside of the nursing home on a sunny day. And when I come to the parking there, I will go next to the nursing home. They're all sitting there in their chairs. So I roll the window down. I'm like, I'm going to break you out. Like, get ready to jump in a car, man. And then they were all like laughing, like, yeah, come on, let's go. Nobody wants to be there. And you don't want to treat them like, oh my God, are you okay? Because that's the worst thing. They know their life sucks. Why would you want to bring more of that?
Right.
So I would joke with him. I said, when we were marching, I'm like, if you get better this March, we might start chasing these nurses around. But, we might get in trouble if you do that. And he is pretty funny. He turns around. This guy almost 90, right?
Yeah.
He said, particularly if we catch them, we'll get in trouble. Like, oh, man. All right. So it was a great start, but then something happened. And I don't know what. I'm not a specialist or doctor or pharmacologist or anything like that. All I have story about that as well. Then boom, like this, from Tuesday to Friday, can't even sit.
Yeah, whatever the
on the bed, unassisted, and 2 weeks later, boom.
Yeah.
So those are two kind of really heavier experiences that left an impact on me. And then I'll just finish. I have more, but I'll give you this last one. Also, permission. These guys met me. I have permission from them. I don't know if they met you or some people that you were associated with around 2020 when you were part of those.
Online. I think I recommended you to them, and I didn't meet them personally.
Yeah, they like those freedom groups or whatever that started being big in 2020, but then eventually we figure out most of them are also like full of shit, or to an extent. But they've heard, because they were doing these cold plunges. We mentioned them before. Up in Lake Forest. And one guy that comes to the gym, he's like, they mentioned you, and he said, oh yeah, like Vladimir mentions TJ. And they said, what? Is he has a gym here? He said, yeah, you guys, because I don't advertise. You said it. You can't find me unless someone recommends you.
Right.
I don't want too many people. So anyway, they start coming off of that plunge connect.
Yeah.
And about the guys maybe 6'8"ish, about an inch shorter than me. Just so you have the a little bit of visual description there. The wife, I don't know, maybe 5'4"ish or 5'5"ish, something like that.
Sure.
Uh, Early 30s, they start. Okay, he plays hockey, very active. She's very active. 3 months later, they go. They were coming, I think, twice a week. Vlad, maybe three. Vlad, he said, we have the news for you, or for the gym, for everybody. What it is, he said, we are pregnant. We're gonna have a baby. I said, congratulations, like awesome. Just boom, high five 3 times. Let's go. And they said, no, like there is more to this story. You don't really fully understand. I said, okay, like tell me. They said these are early 30s couple, husband and wife. They said we tried to have a baby for over 4 years now. Tried every, so to speak, or a lot,
Yeah.
natural
Yeah.
treatments, energy healing, this, that, move,
Right.
all kinds of things.
Right.
Best foods, best whatever. Nothing worked, and they wanted to do everything natural. When they went to see regular docs, they suggested some surgery to correct something, and then however it goes with a medical regimen and all that to try to get you pregnant. And they were told by the medical guys that unless she does these steps that they recommend, she will never ever be able to have a baby. She will never be able to get pregnant. So now it's 3 months. And they said, okay, so what happened? Well, he gained about 20, maybe a little over 20 pounds of weight. So he was a bit underweight. She gained about maybe 15-ish. So I suspect the hormones in both of them start working better. And just with the training and everything, and just the whole energy, what we are talking about, the body started responding better. And they're exposed to this talk that you really can't find in a lot of places, especially last few years, that it's hard to say anything because everybody is offended and takes it the wrong way, and you have to tiptoe around everything. Anyway, this whole experience. So I said, you guys sure? They said, no, Vlad. They said, this is the only change we've made.
Yeah.
And it's not 100%, but they said, we are sure a big part of you is that here. And they know we talked about, in the past, letters and all kinds of things. They sent me a handwritten letter, old school, like to the home address, which I love. And also via text when baby was born, and the mom chose natural delivery, 31 hours of labor. She didn't want to take anything or do anything, and had a healthy baby girl. And now the girl is soon gonna come see them this weekend. They moved away to a farm in rural Illinois, about 2 some hours from here. So I'm gonna go Sunday visit the farm. I think the goats and chickens and I met the baby because they brought the baby to the gym before.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go see them. But so that's my story that I also told my dad when he asked me what I feel. So I said, okay, if I even at any capacity help them create life that wasn't there, and they were told by almost everyone, certainly for a medical establishment, that it's not going to be possible to do, I'm fucking done, man. I don't have to do a single thing, because that I don't know. I don't even have to explain to myself, just that feeling that I have of fulfillment, and
that was worth it. All of it.
You complete me sort of thing. I don't have to do a single thing. And that's what people don't understand. And I've talked with somebody in the gym, because now that I'm leaving and stuff, some people ask if I would continue because they know I don't like to do Zoom and stuff. I said, oh, let's try. Maybe I'll honor for some if you really want to.
Sure.
But it wasn't the plan. Everybody tries to incentivize me. Well, not obviously. It's not like absolute. Like I said before many times, guys, everything that I said, it's not absolute. Just speaking generally. And you know this, they try to incentivize you with money, right? Like, oh, if you paid it. So I asked this one person that actually listens and observes people and always has great feedback when it's just me and her in the gym. I said, was it not clear and transparent all these years? She said, no, you're super clear. Nobody just listens. She said, you went above and beyond what anybody would do with all the free stuff over the years. And
Sure.
one business guy that's now around 70, so I know him since late 40s now. He's hitting 70, been training. He told me the same thing. He said, no, if anything, you've done things at your expense and cost.
Yeah.
So we benefit. And she says it right. I mean, sometimes am I losing my mind? Are you seriously trying to say that because of extra couple dollars here and there, now I'm going to, you missed the whole boat. Oh, so now this will segue perfectly. When we started working in 2003 with John, and if you remember, we were running those big groups with athletes.
John McNulty, it was at Synergy Fitness and Sports in Lake Bluff, and he's still in the area. So mad shout out to him and anybody out there, John McNulty, because he hired us.
John is really cool, man. Because
yeah,
when I texted John, so I announced in the gym Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday I texted him. I set the phone down. Within a minute, he called me. Holy shit, Vlad! I'm like, I have mad respect for that because we were really good co-workers and everything, right? So when we started working in 03 together, after very maybe few months, let's say, until I got maybe more comfortable. It wasn't days, maybe a couple months. We had those big groups. Remember, 20, 30 kids. We would work with like hundreds of kids a week. So there will be cases where you repeat something or to the clients and they're just not getting it. You tell them 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, 20. So I get frustrated. I'm like, I'm not going to correct anymore, man. I'm not going to do this. And then John said, well, maybe it takes 1,000 times, maybe 1,000 and first they'll get it. Well, I can tell you now with certainty, after 20 years and probably thousands of times, certainly 1,000 plus, if not 2,000 plus times, some people will not get it. So I think if your intuition tells you after 5, 10 attempts, they're not getting it, just let it be. Then if they do, awesome, you'll come back. But don't waste your energy. That's another thing that I forgot to complete that thought before. Why I start working less and spending less time when you would think, oh my God, it's not going to work again. Let's try to get as much as we can at this end and just go, is because it allows me more time to recover and recharge because I get very emotionally invested in clients. And I should, and I try to shut it off, but it's really hard for me. Even if I'm not, even if I'm not trying, but I'm still trying, if that make any sense. So really exhaust me emotionally. And then I wanted to put myself in the best position, full body, physically, psychologically, however, to sustain myself this period without any great insults. And when I get back home, to be in a best position to start readjusting.
Sure.
And not here. Because you asked me, if you remember, when you told them, was there any like emotion, like outbreaks or physical expressions or anything
you notice
like that?
anything physically that just showed up?
Correct. And I haven't.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The part might be that I do allow myself a lot of free time at the expense of making money for money's sake. But I feel very good about it.
Yeah.
And it's the chase. And like I said, no physical symptoms expressed. And I got much better lately in controlling, so to speak, my thought process. Because when the doubts creep in, which is daily, like I said before, and you said today's a low day and stuff. Of course. But all you have to do is, it's really hard, but when you catch yourself in real time, okay, you have a couple options. Am I going to do, speaking personally for myself, am I going to do something to remedy this or act on this right this second? Or I'm going to chill or watch a movie or do this or do that? I'm not going to do anything now. Okay, so then there is no point to think and just stress. And I got better in doing that. And it's really huge how much it lowers down. Immediately, it's not perfect, but it lowers down stress and allows me to fall asleep. Versus in the past, I might be the whole night. Even that Sunday, pre-Monday announcement, I was still able to sleep. Not great, but in the past, I probably wouldn't like sleep a wink. But I would be like stressing and adrenaline it out and said, okay, yeah, nothing that I'm going to do now. So let's try to relax,
Right.
count. I like to count because just like he centers me on something, and boom, and went to sleep. So that's my sort of broad answer of what I felt and why I feel that way.
You hit on so many things, and I just there's no way to measure the factors that would affect even the fertility. All you are and were and they are is just humans to the best expression of human, and a human that wants to be the best human will be a fertile human. So like what are all this? It wants to continue, right? It's like, yeah, let's keep this going. So what was the variable? Uh, there's no way, like, can your physiology change drastically in a second? Yes.
Yeah.
All for the better. You just might not want to repeat it, but goddamn. So they're like, what was it that you offered? I mean, all of it. You can't even put into a formula because you could take 100 people and do the same thing and have 99 not change, but skin resolved or hair grew, or and it's just like, holy shit. So bottom line, it was just a human, like what you do for a profession. I don't know. I just try to like release the best human or have you find the best human. And part of that is what you stand for, your character, your honesty, your integrity, your passion, I hate that fucking like over deliver. Why is that not just like deliver?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm doing something superhuman. No, quit saying that fucking word superhuman. It's human. It's basic human. That's it. It's not a miracle. It's human. That's what we're capable of. That's what we have here.
Yeah.
And so there was that story there that I don't know. It was just so huge because it hit you. You even got emotional on this thing right here. And then
Yeah, man.
that out, you touched upon something huge because you care so much. Well, and I'm not trying to take over my part of it, but when I'm doing Zooms, right, I was trying to explain to you what it's like to do it because you're not doing it, you're not, and you might in the future, and you might, okay, and we are going to do projects, you and I, right? And so I was like, dude, imagine. So let me ask you this: uh, what's the intake, or what's your? You're going to read everybody different, but let's just say you could generalize in the best way possible. Somebody's going to come to you and start with you. How do you handle people starting?
Start like they want to try to train or what?
They're coming into your office. Hey, what do you do? I think I might want to start. How do you approach that?
Well, first thing I ask them why.
Okay. And then you get through
That's
all
my
that.
first
And
one.
then when you actually practically start to execute stuff, I think you still do it this way. I'm getting to something. Go. Do you just start
Well,
with a package? Like, oh, these are my packages. This is my, or,
oh, like with the sessions or something like that?
yeah.
Yeah, no, I always start with like this. Why ask them first why they want to do what they're doing. And the second thing is I always tell them, okay, let's do it for a week or so,
Done.
like one or
Okay.
two workouts, sometimes long. I mean, we've done, like I told you, 6 weeks in the past
Right.
with kids for
Okay.
free. Let's do a week just so you see if it's something that
Yeah.
you want to do and to see if there's something that I want to do and that it fits the gym.
Right.
And
So
it's free,
you're
no
investing.
charge at all.
No, it's free. And you're investing your time and energy because it's free. You're not giving less. So they're getting a week of everything you have for that person to then see, is this going to work out? Do you even want to invest in my time and energy and your time and energy and then your dollar? Do you want to do this? Because this is fucking life changing. I take it very seriously. Not that you say that, but the gesture is that. Like, I'm like, a week? Holy shit. So that's what I was trying to say when I do Zooms. Imagine getting somebody that really fucking wants to work with you, and you're going to give them 2 to 8 hours and dump everything you have, knowing that you may never see them again. Knowing that you may, because it's not, I don't have repeat stuff. That was the whole point. Like, I'm cutting that out.
Right.
Now my repeat visits are friendships, right? Like they're not clinical. No, we're just hanging out. Oh, fuck yeah. Come on by for coffee or I'll make bagels, like whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So now when that zooms over, Jesus, I'm deplete. So then I have to structure my life around that event. You lessened work to allow this new huge change into your life because you have pushed your limits, you have understood what happens when you try to go too thin. You know what the body's going to pull from. It's going to survive and pull away from something. Oh, it's symptomatic. No, it's not. It's just costing you more than what you have to give, and it's something has to give. So now you know this. You can predict this. You have a massive life change. You're working less. I'm just making a point of this because I don't know the world that would do that, right? They would burn it and burn it and burn it, not just monetarily, try to get as much as you can to put it in the kitty so when you get to Serbia, you could financially relax. No. And then blame the body when it's symptomatic or blame when it or on age. And it's like, holy shit. So that's something with me, especially this last season. My God, my skin, my body, my energy, my emotions, my thoughts, my mind, and then my physicality. Like if you tested me on strength, I could freaking grit it out and do something. I couldn't repeat that. Like, no
Yeah.
way. If you got me on that day, right? And so I know how to honor that. So when I have a Zoom, even today, if we didn't have this encounter, I might have done a little something more, knowing how I felt afterwards, even low, because I want to know what it's like to move my body and know my limits and understand my body when it's experiencing the perfection of depression. That's what I want to understand, right? And so with this, you just said it right there. And that's you give so much, not over deliver, you just deliver how a human should deliver in a craft, in an art. And you do it how you do it, and it costs. Not that it's a burden, but it costs. Everything costs. This is costing us.
Yeah, you just gotta be realistic about it, and that's fine.
And so again, you understood, so you know, and you're traveling. You're going to come out here July 12th. I guarantee you're going to flip flop and be like, damn it. Why did I schedule that? I know you will because it's a flight. It's a burden. You're going to sleep somewhere.
Yeah, it takes me out of my
Totally.
zone.
It's not a
But
personal thing, but you know coming up, and then you know coming up, and then you know coming up. So you're gauging all this thing. This is what all the elements that we try to touch when we're trying to express to people we guide or talk to or work with or whatever it is, right? But you said it perfectly because I tried keeping up Zooms on a certain frequency, and I was like, no, they started getting longer and more, and I'm like, there's no way. So I started shifting, and then I shifted again and shifted again, and now I'm like, my God. And it's not anything wrong with me. It's just how we do this, how we operate. And you have a season coming up now. We're coming up on July. You have one of the biggest life changes probably since you were born.
yeah,
Like this is so, and again, I just want to say something that I said before. V, did you have any reason other than the reasons you're doing it to change this? Like there's a thumb up on my screen. It just said thumb down. No,
yeah,
the
no,
point is like
I'm down,
you know
man.
your intention behind this, like your drive to do this and your reasoning to
Yeah,
do this, but you had no reasons. You had a business, a thriving business. You have family in the area. You have a steady, stable rental place that like isn't going anywhere. You have
no, nothing happened.
you have Tony's Finer Foods where you get like the best food on the planet.
Yeah, the best people.
you have family, you have relationships, you have routines, you have goals, you have so to throw this thing in here was a voluntarily chosen up on its head on purpose because something is more than all those things I just said. Like something you couldn't ignore. You
Yeah,
could very comfortably cruise controlled. You could do certain things, but you are pulling a pivot of all pivots. And I just want to bring
yeah,
this up because I wish I had somebody talk to me when I close my office. Like everyone's like, oh, you just close your office. I'm like, do you know what that means? Do you understand what that means and what I'm still going through now? I'm still having to process the not having a physical location. Like it's 22 years that I did, and now I don't. It's like if I'm not standing in an empty office, or it's not busy enough, or it's not, or I'm at my home, I feel guilt. Like it's all this. Oh my gosh, it's just transitioning to everything. So you had no reason to do this other than the reasons you're doing it. If you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
okay,
No, nothing happened. I mean, I always wanted to go back, but just over the last little over a year, there were convergence of few things that happened that sort of say pulled the trigger on it and just made me just realize, okay, I can maintain this space forever. That's why I work less, because back to your previous point, that's maybe hard to explain how much it takes out of us, that interaction, because
yeah,
it's just how we do it. And then I just came to realization that yes, I wanted to do this, and I had a couple of things that were sort of holding me back, if you will, and that all came together. And I took a year to think about it and fully commit. Like I said, fully committed, like beyond any doubt, this May. But even John, when I talked to him, I said, no, nothing happened
yeah,
that I like. Oh my God, now I have to leave. No, everything is actually better than it was before with
right,
the amount of hours that I'm working. But I just wanted, for my own reasons, wanted to do something that I always wanted to do, but I don't want to wait anymore. And a couple of things happened, not personally, but with people that I've trained, like a couple of these examples that I've got. And there is some more recent one that I don't want to talk about it. Somebody also passed. And then it just makes you realize,
oh yeah,
and then when you read those stories, when people are at the end of their road, nobody remembers, oh my God, I didn't get that promotion, or I should have made more money. Those are things that are not important. And I show you on the video how my backyard, the dad like maintains somehow, like looks and everything. So I'm like, this can be my little oasis. Although a lot of people are logically maybe not fully in support, not family, but when think about it, because here it's very comfy. It's going to be a whole different ball game there. But my reasons and emotions and why am I doing it? It's so strong that I willingly want to do it. I'm not made to do it. I don't have to,
right,
but I'm choosing to, because it's something that I want to do. And that's what I said before. They're like, oh, are you going because of, say, mom and dad or this or that? No, that's part of it. But I want to do it for myself. And that's also, I think, when you said before about training and stuff, I think that's why, at least I do, you do the same. We get so involved, but specifically for me, because when I train or work with other people, it's not so much if I have complaints or bitch or something about what they do. It's most of it is me, like my internal stuff, because I see kind of like a reflection almost.
yeah,
And if they do good, it helps me. It's like a two-way street. It's not just one. The
yeah,
better they get, the better I get, the better I get, the better they'll get. And it's that like a loop. It's not just, totally cold business transaction. You pay, I train, and I'm checked out. Like we think, remember before we would meet at the bar and talk like 10 hours about hamstrings and stuff like that while drinking for like 12 hours. I don't know how many people would do that, but it's things that are important to us. But sometimes it's hard because a lot of times you deal with robots.
yeah,
Here's, so here is one thing that it's getting a little better, but just so you guys get the feel for it. Train like with a person for a long time, many years, and I've been not liking what he's doing cardio wise, but okay, we just try keep him together as much as possible. Anyway, uh, the guy has something happened and he passed out doing one of his things. Had however many stitches, and then on the head, and then when he ended up in a hospital, it took he told me 3 IV bags just to stabilize him, and diagnosis was a chronic long-term dehydration, with the guy having dietitian at the time and all that, and everything that they were saying I was objecting to, but I wasn't dietitian or anything. So anyway, he comes out of it. So this is what, just one of extreme examples what we are dealing with. So I said, okay, man, like this happened, that happened. So do you think like we should change something that we are doing? Because clearly you nearly died, man. And the response was, why should I change anything that I've been doing so far? Like it's been working. Okay. So what do you say to that? I don't know. So
There's no
now
way to break through that.
I know. So one of the reasons why I'm doing this also leaving is that I don't feel like I need, like I said, to do anything more professionally. Really, with these few examples that I gave, I feel fine. I can do something completely different or not do anything at all. But there is always a lot of people like, oh, you got to have a job. But there is always things to do if you want to. You don't have to necessarily go to the office or sit on a computer for 8 hours and like you have a job. There is so many things that you can do. But I was thinking about it, and I said, maybe I'll take some, if it's a project or something for a specific time frame, if I like it and I can agree with a person after like initial interview or something, maybe. But I sort of kind of want to get away from that because, like I said, I don't really feel I need to prove anything to myself or anybody else, but mainly to yourself. And for people watching this also, for these things that we talked about, going back to the exercise, how little we do or how much we do, depending on what we feel. Just be at peace with yourself, guys. Don't think like, oh, are you letting somebody down? None of that matters. It only matters how you feel about yourself. And the better you can feel about yourself, the more honest you are. Okay, so say you injure something. If you have TJ's mentality, you'll put 100% of everything into that to get it so it doesn't happen again, and that's awesome. Now, if you're a type of the person, myself included, maybe I'll have a little tightness or pain at some points here or there. Am I going to do 100% change the whole life around that to fix it so it never comes back? No, I'm not going to do that. I'll do the best I can to eliminate the symptom and to hold it at bay. But I know that. I'm not expecting and fantasizing something. That's the key. You just got to be, you got to accept that. You got to be true about it with yourself. And then you're fine. Then you don't have a conflict in your head. If you're a type of person that, oh, I'm in pain all the time, but it's level 2 and I'm okay with it, I'm doing everything. That's awesome, man. That's you. You accept it. Why would I be like, oh no, you have to change? No, it's you. That's the main thing. I think, and that gets lost. Like with, oh, it has to be perfect or the best. No, it just have to be at peace and honest with your own self. And but that's really hard to do on a day to day, even like
I know,
minute to minute, man.
No, I know, but I think that's why the good doctor is always using the word truth. I think she sees it all the time in that. Even my dad, you could look at and say he's a health nightmare. He's actually not. He's a body adapting perfectly to how he's living, proving that's all it does is heal. He's still here, even though he's not in conflict, does absolutely nothing. But he's not saying he does. He's not like looking for something in response different than what he's putting. No. And so that's again the reality of when I look at it now. And that's why I'll say things like aging is beautiful no matter what it looks like. Again, whatever choice you make, it's a beautiful thing, because you would look and be like, oh my God, that's grotesque. That's so dysfunctional. It's so not in my eyes. I don't think high blood pressure is dysfunctional. I don't think sweating is dysfunctional. I don't think a tumor is dysfunctional. I don't think a fucking negative thought is. I don't think any of that stuff is. I think that whole verbiage around it. But it's whatever you're looking to expect afterwards. What are the changes you're willing to do? And then if not, be okay. But that doesn't lessen the human ability or anything else. That's capacity there. And then if at any point you want to completely shift or you want to totally drop off, this whole capacity doesn't leave you. Like you could just leave, gone. It doesn't leave you. It's going to still respond to everything that is true about. That's why I said the body tells the truth about how you're living. I'm in the sun all the time. No, you're not. How do I know this? Because you're pasty as hell. Your body will not lie. Again, right? Like I
Yeah.
eat perfect, or I eat, what does that even mean? That's just stupid. Or I train perfect, or I sleep perfect, or I don't know. I keep the temperature at 69 degrees. Oh, that's healthy. But I keep it at 69 degrees because I'm cheating on my wife and I don't want her to know it. And it's cuddling and I don't want her to cuddle long because I feel guilty and I can't sleep. Okay, that's a whole other thing there. That's 69 degrees. Well, that's healthy. But how you're doing it is not to say not healthy, but your body is honestly speaking about how you're living. And so again, we have so much that we could do. That's what's so cool about the power of it, like how you utilize it. That's why I'm on this like art kick, this artistic and creative. Like even the sores on my face in March were artistically perfectly mine to how I'm living. And then all the changes I'm going to make so that these resolve. And then I had a Baker cyst, 21 days gone, left calf. I didn't even tell you that. Like
Yeah,
out.
no, I didn't know.
And so that was another thing. I'm like, holy shit. Holy shit. All right. And it was just after this resolved, and my left calf area would recover slower and fluid would stay retained when I would train it in any capacity, even if it was just foot and hand stuff. And so I could feel it. And when I would walk, it would just take forever. And I'm like, all right, it's not wrong. I'm going to live my life exactly to allow this to be in this place. And then I was showering and felt it and was like, oh my God. And I could feel right on. I mean, right behind there. I'm like, all right, as perfectly as it filled up for a reason, it's going to go away for the exact same reason. I have to change. Or I could say, no, I'm not, but the body's not wrong because it built up this airbag back there or whatever it is, and I'm not going to be in conflict. Well, I don't like that back there. I also don't like being sore. I don't like that hurting. I don't like things getting in the way of me going in. So it was just over 3 weeks. And then to no sensation whatsoever, still like 2% recovery slow on that side. If I were to compare symmetrically to how I was prior to this season, like no problem. And so that was something have been on since even just that March conversation on artists and creativity with the whole thing. Because again, how you and I would even plate food, make food, why we eat,
Yeah.
food, what we get from it. Like there's an artistic expression to that. Even in the most, like Lyle's not artistic, but he does an Excel spreadsheet, his style, his way, his whole thing. And if you went into his life and how he has his car, how he lives, how he goes, every single choice, every single option, everything that touches everything is going to be a creative, artistic, perfect. And then my cyst behind my leg has never been seen before because it was mine. And it was perfectly placed where my body wanted to put it, where I sensed it while soaping myself. And then I have choices. But all the while, body telling the truth on how I'm living. So I go in on what I need to change or what I need to work on. Sure. Or don't change shit. But body's not bad. Body's not wrong. And if you just accept, all right, again, my dad put it was back when he was in the hospital, like 2021 or something. I was calling him because I thought it was like on his way out. And I'm like, how you doing? Not so good. Like, all right. He never talks like that. I'm like, okay. What's going on? How you feeling? He listed these things. Like, he's like, yeah, my body feels like this, and this. And then he goes, and it's surprising because I've treated it so well. But that was like why he, in my opinion, he's still here because he's not expecting something different. Like he's total ownership of the whole, and
Yeah.
so much going on. But again, when I
Yeah.
look at it, it has evolved to how I've even just looked at humans, even with Taylor. 2010, I would try to save him, right? Like try to do everything possible to save him. Now I'm looking back, I'm like, fuck. If I would have spent some of the last 4 years of his life not trying to fix anything and not trying to like give him supplements, not trying to do, but just hang out with him, and just like laugh with them and go to shows and do all this stuff and not try to hover and fix and go. But I didn't have that perspective on life. I hadn't and it was exactly how it was. Um, but that's even me in retrospect looking back. I'm like, shit, because the one of the best nights was that Tom Green night, February. We impromptu went and saw Tom Green stand up at Zany's in Vernon Hills. He laughed so hard, and he laughed through medication because the medication doesn't let you laugh.
No.
Not that shit that he was on. He couldn't go up, but he couldn't go down, and he was hysterically laughing. And I'm like, that would have been something to enjoy more of, is just going to concerts, having fun, instead of like, how you feeling? How you feeling? What's going on now? Oh, what do you think? What are you feeling? Oh, and then trying to fix it with like whatever at the time, supplements and all these things. I'm like, fuck. And it's fine. It is what it is. But then I would try to say that to people who are critically getting on their mom or dad. Like,
Oh,
just freaking be there. And you can probably share on this if you feel like it or whatever. But again, have a whole different dynamic where it's like, oh, it's sad. I mean, I don't know. I don't look at it as being sad. I look at it as being awesome. I look at it as being a perfect representation of what we have access to. Like, I don't know, like a dead. It's not like roadkill. Well, we don't know that roadkill, but it's my pet. I know, but it's one of those like the twisty psychological pouring of the connection of it instead of trying to save and fix it like because we care so much.
Yeah, that's Mission Impossible. And just to mention it again, when we work with people, right?
Yeah.
Clients, friends, whatever, I think, like I said, as much as I want them to be better, it's a projection also of what I lack or want for myself, and we learn from each other.
Right.
But it has to be that honest relationship. But now with what you said, save and fix somebody. People told me that too. Oh, when you get back home, you're going to whip mom and dad in a shape. I said,
right.
No, 100% no.
Right.
And it takes time for that.
100% no.
100% no. It's not going to happen, but it takes time, right? If you asked me this 10 years ago, I would have a different answer, maybe even 5, but it takes time to gain different perspective. And who knows, 5 years from now might be different again, might be different tomorrow. But currently, for the last few years, though, it's like this for me. And I said, no, because first of all, person needs to change. Just start with yourself. Start with myself. Okay, there is these things that I know I could change, but am I changing them? It takes a lot of freaking actual thought and intent to do that. And you have to really, really want it. If it comes from outside, chances are you'll defend against it. It's not going to happen. And you can't do it. Maybe in some short period of time, but it's not going to last. Going back to your example with the dad. So I went with mom to 2 different doctors this time around. I'm just telling you this is an interest, just for a quick story.
Oh, this is
one
good.
Private one. This private clinic, I don't have to say what name or anything, but the doctor is a PhD in physiology, teaches physiology in medical school, all this like awesome like diagnostic doctor, blah blah blah. So we go in there, and something heart related, whatever. So I said, so for a healthy woman, mom's age, what is the estimated maximal heart rate? Because they did the EKG, whatever, stress test, this, that, like what we are comparing against things. Since they're looking at those numbers, how they have those lists, and if you're in the range. She couldn't answer. She didn't know. I was stunned. That's, to me, should be one of the basic things to know, man. She didn't know, and then she guessed about like 45 bits less than what the potential can be. But then she said, but the mom is not healthy. I said,
no,
well,
hold on.
no,
Let me just put in perspective. So if you were to take any certification program for any training or assistance in training, any level, like the most bullshit certification ever online, $50, whatever it is, you will know how to calculate roughly max heart rate, because it's like one of the gold standard things they teach Everybody. I think you might even know it in a CPR class or something. Like it is across. I even think to work in a restaurant, you might have to know this. Like to use an AED, I think you might have to know this number. So just to let people know,
Yeah, at least
like,
general
oh,
formula.
yeah, it's 220 minus age. Like it's literally in wrapped in our brains, like 220 minus age, 220 minus age. It's a rough estimate of what the
Yeah.
max heart rate would be. So these elite professionals, you ask them what that would be for
Yeah,
your.
I asked direct question, and there are more sophisticated formulas. You can be off, but you're not going to be off that much. She was off like huge, and didn't not that she was off. She didn't know,
No,
which I think, which from what is it? What is the movie we like? Whiplash.
oh
He
yeah.
didn't know, which I think it's even worse. He
Oh, and
wasn't
he kicked it.
sabotaging.
Yeah, he
He
kicked him
didn't
out.
know. When he
Yeah.
kicked the kid out, that was he was in tune, but he didn't know. Anyway, she didn't know, which I find worse. And then she guessed, and she guessed wrong. That's one doctor.
Which
Then the
instead
other
of just
one,
saying, I don't know, like
yeah,
just
and she
figure
said,
out a
we gotta
guess.
check
Like,
with like cardio. You guys are okay, fine. Then we went to another one on the weekend, sort of like it's like urgent care, but it wasn't urgent care, just for whatever something. Doctor that's on call. So I asked her the same question. Same. Didn't know. All right. So that's 2 for 2. Didn't know. Couldn't even guess. Didn't even want to guess. So I was like, okay, so that's not good. And then both of those I asked, because mom lost about 22% of her body weight. And she wasn't big to begin with, over the course of maybe 2 months or so, after whatever, after she got that third booster, whatever, because she
oh
just
yeah,
wanted to get him, right?
yeah.
So I asked the docs, and we know they have studies on this that are very verifiable. This is a not up for discussion. When older people have big weight swings or weight loss, if it's like more than like 5 or 10%, quote unquote older people, right, over 60, 70, it's a huge warning sign, huge alarm sign. Something
It's
is
a
not
big
right.
deal. It's a big deal
It
across the board.
yes, it affects everything very negatively. Certainly 10% or higher. This 22%, uh, and neither one of those two uh, felt there was a problem. Didn't even acknowledge it, even though I asked 2 times just to make sure they heard me. And he was like, oh, yeah, sort of kind of dismissed it as he's like, yeah. Oh, and the physiology professor told me kind of like nonchalantly, this is like at the private clinic, yeah, 40-year-olds now are getting stents put in a cart. It's kind of like almost like a no big deal. It's like normal now. Like, how? In what world is that normal? Or you guys don't see an issue? It's just something that happened. We can't think, okay, what might be causing it, this, or how it's just accepted. And that stuff blows my mind. That was a part of the reason, not huge part, but one of the reasons why I'm sort of finalizing my decision too, because I just don't want to deal with these things or people on a day-to-day basis with all this nonsense, because it's too draining for me. And like we already established, you can't fix or convince anybody in anything. You can just show me the personal example, but what I can do, I can limit my exposure to that stuff by picking and choosing more how I spend my time, or who am I hanging out with, or choosing who I want to work with on a very, very selective basis,
Yeah.
to allow me more opportunity to put myself in a better position to be in this life
Yeah.
the best I can at this point in time. And that's I told you that, and I said didn't want to forget to share that. I said, oh my God, that's like, I don't know, trying to learn to write or read, but you didn't even learn like the first letter of the alphabet. And now I give you pen and paper and like, go write me poetry, and you don't even know letters, man. How can you not know these basic things or not think about it? I, it just blows my mind.
Right.
Blows my mind. But oh, what you said about that, I almost forgot. thing with the accepting. That's what I came, because I would catch myself last few times. Each year is less. And this year, I think I was really able to stop myself. I would start with them because I can see from outside how much can be done, not to fix or heal somebody, but to at least remedy situation in a way that it's more tolerable and less painful, even physical pain, right? There is so much that can be done, simple stuff. And I would catch myself get involved and try to say, and then I would start to escalate and I would start to get angry. And then it's not helpful for no one.
Right.
It doesn't help them, doesn't help me. And then everybody's in a bad mood. So I started a little bit of that this year on one or two occasions only, but then I was able to stop myself in the tracks. I caught myself. It was really hard to reel myself back in. And I said, all right, no. And I told mom, I said, yeah, no, I'm sorry. This clearly I'm not going to help this way. So what I decided for myself, and obviously I have to keep reminding myself and practice it, acceptance, what you said. I have to accept these things are how they are. And what you said, bring in Taylor in, you just share the time that you have with them and participate. And because you'll feel there'll be energy exchange. You can totally feel when you walk in a room, if the energy is cold, if it's welcome, if it's friendly, if people are matching up or not. You can totally feel that stuff.
Right.
And just that's my mindset. I just want to share, and shared that like space, time, and energy with them. And I told you also, like for example, last few years I've been taking bus when I go there, which a lot of people, when they do like go travel, they won't go with bus. But my first cousin talked me into it, and I'm glad she did. I was resistant to it 3-4 years ago because it could be crowded or not, and people are generally not going to be in the best of the moods anyway. But that doesn't bother me. I don't enjoy their pain or whatever bothers them. I just enjoy the fact that I'm able to feel it and share that moment or that ride. We don't know each other, but I'm there, and it's almost meditative for me. I would be maybe going somewhere, takes an hour, whatever, with all the stops, but just the accepting this is what it is. I'm not trying to change it. I'm just trying to feel what you feel and just be part of that. And somehow that triggers something in me that makes me just want to be there and share, even if it's, and not always going to be good. Like nothing is always good, right? We talked before. It's a balance, plus, minus, positive, negative. But just the fact that I feel I can tune in and feel it, it does something for me. I guess strengthens my resolve in a way that lets me know that I'm on a good track, if you will, with the stuff that I'm doing. And there is plenty more to learn. I just actually told somebody, remember from the last show, I think I mentioned it's called Takumi. I didn't really check it. Is this Japanese art of craftsmanship? Takes them like 60,000 hours to achieve like mastery. And we talked before 1,000 days, 10,000 days daily practice. All comes to roughly 20, 30 years. So I think I just told you in this previous conversation, I roughly calculated our hours that we work this whole time. So in years and in hours, we are closing in. Because professionally, say I'm working 23 years, but I've been doing this for close to 30 years, not professionally before that. And in terms of hours, we are certainly minimum 50 plus thousand, closing in on those 60,000 hours. So I just out of nowhere, I was telling a client today, I said, we're getting close to mastery, I think, in terms of years and time, but I'm starting to feel now there is a lot more to learn, not to train or have clients, but just for our own experience. And then if we can direct or share, or if somebody can pick something up like we did from our mentors from from all these years of being in this field, it's just the beauty of life. It's like that cycle. It just everybody feeds off everybody. I would just love it, if it's possible to be more positive than it is, but it's what we are choosing to do. And that in itself really sustains me. Just it gives me drive, I guess, because I know there is I know a lot, but at the same time, there is a lot more that
Discovering.
kind of like maybe just like scratching the surface. Now kind of is really time to go in deep. And that physical part we said before, it's nonsense, anybody can do that.
No.
But like going in deep and really trying to change that psychology and physiology and everything to actually not have to remind myself always, okay, wait, don't react.
Right.
And I can do that, count or whatever, calm down, to make that become my primary programming or directive without me having to remind myself.
Default.
But
right.
That's
Gonna,
gonna take.
And it's like, I don't know. That's why I said you asked, like, do we change? Because I was going through relationship stuff that I'm seeing, because the last relationship was a mirror in front of my face that I've never had before, right? And I'm seeing like massively dark sides to me that I could have changed, should have changed, could have been acknowledging of, made excuses for, figured it was a personality thing. Somebody's going to deal with it. Somebody will hit and it'll just deal. And now I'm like, wait, what? This is what I was supposed to change. That's why I act that way. That's why I say these things. Oh my God. And so it's been the biggest mirror in front of me, which is why I don't think it's random that one of the first things I see in my true, actually physical mirror is my face, and my face exploded. Like,
Dorian Gray.
It wasn't the sole. It wasn't the sole of my foot. You know what I mean? Or the back of my elbow. It was my fucking face. And it was like, what the? And so I don't think, I just came up with that now. Like, the thing in the mirror was the first time I acknowledged that a mirror was put here in front of me, not voluntarily by a person, but by the experience with that person. And because I give a shit and I don't want this to happen again, and I actually kind of want to exchange what that was. I want to be able to hold what that was and contain it and explore it, like, more. Like, wait, there's more here? Wait, what? And so again, face exploded, calf, skin, like everything's just coming back, and I've got some like ways to kind of assess, like, okay, oh, all right. Okay, we're like stepping up a rung, and here's another that I'm attempting it, because, like, can we truly change? That was what we had talked about, right? Like, if I'm trying to rewire a program or rewire a nervous system or rewire my mind, some people call it mind medicine, some people call it, like, yeah, like we could, like a bolt of lightning, go through something or create a thought that would create such an emotional response and a feeling so huge that it's just, we are no longer, the default is just, oh, like, you no longer respond the way you do. Like, it's totally possible to have that happen. So I have an aggressive approach that I do, and then I have a gentle approach, because I'm craving both. Because sometimes I want fruit. Other times I want a pizza with movie popcorn and a steak. And you can't always digest all that, nor are you hungry for all that. And so I kind of, where I've been thinking about it since we last talked, it was like, it's not even changing enough to be able to hold the next person. It's knowing what I'm working on, knowing and acknowledging and being aware and being self-aware, and like going into and improving myself, and improvement isn't just when you change. Like, and what is the change? What is it measurable on? I don't know. What does it mean to you? Like, the fact that I'm even fucking talking about this is a 180 from any past anybody I've ever been with. Never, ever, ever have I acknowledged this, ever. And so I'm like, so done. Am I changed enough? Not for me. Maybe for somebody, but I'm not okay with it. I want more. And so it's, again, I might be 110 still, but then the next engagement I have where I'm saying, like, hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is what's coming up. This is why I've noted that it does this. I'm going to work on this while we're doing this. You know, you're going to work on yours. We're going to work on ours, because together, this is a huge thing that we've got that we're all in with. And we're going to figure out what's going on, like that alone. And then every day improving, or changing and changing. These micro changes is change, to the point that it gets to where we never respond the way we do to, I mean, I don't know. It's possible, if that happens. But even still, the fruit of my life and my ability to enjoy life with somebody or share it, or me with me, it doesn't even matter if it's shared or not, will just be contingent upon the version of me. And the version of me, what we went through the last 6 months, saw shit I've never seen before in me. So that's where I go, oh, I'm not okay with that. Because again, we could do the whole thing. I could be my dad and just be like, bah, we're good. I know it. I'm not going to do shit about it. Okay, cool. Then let's accept. It's totally fine. Then don't fucking start barking orders and don't become a relationship coach, right? Or something there. But it's just okay. This is what I've gone through. Now I'm like, wait, that's why? Oh, that's not fucking ever happening again in the context that it happened, nor will I go through no fucking way. Because I'm not a stranger to work. I'm not a stranger to uh admittance when I come across something like, or acknowledging whatever it is to acknowledge. And again, I'm trying to go with like, I told you, it's the Shallow Hal Tony Robbins style where it's like, boom, changed. Like, okay, I'm trying. Like, and there are moments and I have ways of accessing it. You have ways of accessing that. Then on the other end, we go into here, and then in between, it just braids. I know I've changed. How do I know? Because I have all these little markers and tests and contests and observations that come along. Oh, you've been romantic in the last? No. But relationships are relationships. It's not just romance. It's relationship. Yes, the romance one's going to touch the hardest because that's the one that is the maybe the most vulnerable or the most, the deepest or whatever it is. Again, speaking for me. But there has been, from my efforts in what I've acknowledged and everything else, examples where I'm like, huh, holy shit, totally different than if you would have asked me or had me encounter something in November. Like completely different. What I was saying in November and December, my God, towards this scenario, like totally, totally different. And so again, it's the nobody can ask you to do that. Because if you asked, I would have reflexively been like, fucking no way. Like, there's no way because it's not for me. Like, it had to move me enough. And I want to say bottom out, but guilt and shame are like the lowest vibrational, blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's the most swelling I've ever had in my life. Whatever the fuck you want to call it. It doesn't matter because there's nothing wrong with the human being. There is the body. I could choose to do certain things that might not be ideal, like run somebody over with a car or do something like that. Like, yeah, but my body's response to all this and what I'm feeling is, oh my God, oh my God. And I even asked Dr. Cassidy that in a house call, and I even think you and I, do we have to bottom out the change? I don't even like that word bottoming out because it's a caterpillar bottoming out when it's in the cocoon. Like, I don't think it's bottom out, right? It's just a massive, massive moment. Am I bottoming out if my body wants me in bed for 4 days? No, no, that's a perfect reaction to how I'm feeling. And what I'm sensing. And so again, with the changes, I just see, even if I were to meet, if I could have gone back and run this by anybody from the past, they'd have been like, who was this guy, for one? And wait, you're open to like talking like this? And you were, yeah. And like a lot of things are making sense now. And I'm like, holy shit. And I could have opted towards childhood trauma, my mom, my dad, blame, blame, blame. Like, I'm not fucking doing that. And they did the best they could. And that I'm still here and I'm still alive. And I'm a fucking champion because they raised me. Like, they fed me and clothed me and gave me things. Yeah. Hell yeah. And then in their world, they did everything that they could to, even if they were deliberately trying to do stuff, that's okay. I'm here now. Because I was speaking to somebody else, it was like failed me. My mom failed me or my dad failed me. I'm like, that's interesting. Even just that phrasing is just very, very interesting. So just this last season of me, and then you said it, I don't even know how to recreate what you said or if you remember what you said it, but you were like, dude, you were operating without this awareness and living life before. And help me if you even remember this or if I'm rephrasing totally ghetto. But it was like, now with this new level of awareness, now what? And I truly think now that I know what I know, I'm like down on this other path of holy shit. Because we say like we're progressing, but then we're coming up on the 25th year. You're coming up on the 30th year. And I made a video where like medical professional progress in health and medicine means when you're progressing, you're using less. You're like, but you're understanding less, but you don't grasp on to these things to save like tools and stuff. And so it's like even you and I, we trialed and erred and did all this stuff, and it was just like, I mean, the art, like one's under the couch of somebody right now. I have no idea where it is. And it's like, what? But back then we were testing it and going and going. Now it's just like, oh no, you with you and you in your space, and that's all we need. And let's go with that, and then
Yeah.
go into what is your life. Um, you said something though, and that was where I was kind of, I'm all over the place here, but one with me, it helps me kind of assess the feelings I'm feeling and knowing that even just me acknowledging it and going in and facing it, admitting it, even in one-on-ones, I will tell all of them because we break down a lot of the things and go into a lot of this stuff. And I just want them to know that I got played by the same rules. And this is just something
Yeah.
that I'm working on too. And this is where I'm going with this. And just anecdotally, this is what I've experienced. You? Well, yeah. And then I'll go in and like say, this is what I do to try to apply it and change my life to do these things because this is my goal and my goal and my goal and what I want. Oh my God. Well, the level of change that comes from the level of feeling, like the greater the feeling, the greater the symptom, the greater the healing response to the magnitude of whatever it was to you, whatever it was. And that's all relative because somebody could have a pain level of 15, somebody had a pain level of 2, but the damage was the same. And it's like, well, what was the thing though, right? And so it's like, okay, this was the, if you want to say lowest, and I lost a brother, totally different, right? It's a totally different grieving process, as I said, because the person's still here. It's like a completely different scenario. Okay, I'm gonna fucking work my ass off to change these things. All right. So now I can't even imagine. I'm not there yet because I don't even like. I don't even want to go to like, oh, who's gonna come? I don't even. I'm not even there yet, right? Like, oh, like try to create in your head the perfect. No, no, I'm not at that stage yet. Like, write it down or draw her, or I mean, it could be the girl from Wolverine Origins, maybe in the cabin with Hugh Jackman. Maybe it could be could be the girl from Love and Monsters, the lead actress there. Could be her. No, but on you. So when I made a change to my office, there's a sensation and and a look where it's like, oh, you really took steps back, right? Or you really, and it's not that at all. It's just a period of time where you're going, your like measurement of how's life is totally different because it'd be like, how's business? I have none. Oh, I bet you're really, well, no, now I'm over here, going into these new areas. So it's like, it's like to take 3 steps back to take 1,000 forward. And so I can't even imagine. It's like Tiger Woods, and it's so stupid, but he changed his swing 3 times. And in the period where he changed his swing, he wasn't that great, but he's still great. And then he came back and was like dominant. It's like you voluntarily changed on purpose to set yourself back so that you could come to know, yeah. And you're shutting your office down for reasons that only you know. You shared a bunch, but only really ultimately do you know like the depths of them and the real the characteristic of them, right? Same thing with me. Office changed, life infinitely better. I can't even remember now what it was like to have. I kind of remember the physical memory of an office, but I don't remember the emotions of the office.
Mhm.
Uh, and so now I have this house calls thing that I'm doing, right? I'm going in front of people face to face, and this is the next thing. So even with this massive mirror shift, all these things changing, again, I don't know which foot I injured in 2021. Why? Because you fucking heal it. I don't know what it was. That's what's so great. And Dr. Cassie Huckabee has even said, you won't remember your symptoms. You'll experience your new level of life and be like,
Yeah.
what is this? And so I can't even like to see where you would in a year, because we use like these year things. You and I, when we experiment and do stuff, like year minimum, probably. I always say, like, if I get injured, year and a half minimum. And before it was like 10 sessions, fucking 10 days, like all this stuff. Like, wait,
Yeah.
a year and a half, true, if we're being honest. So now I purposely, because I got those gripper things,
Yeah.
the wall I honestly don't know what you call them, but I told you I'm going off of this suggested program by elite climbers, because my normal method would be injure myself on purpose. Well, like not like hammer a nail in my hand, but like push myself to the brink to find out what the limits of this thing are. But I don't want to do a year and a half to heal like my fingers or my elbows. Like, man, I don't want to. um, but no, it's cool because it's how many people maybe are on the fence. I guess this is what I'm getting at, to find inspiration from this podcast, where if you're scared to acknowledge something or you're afraid of questions to ask because you're afraid of what those answers are, right? And afraid to look behind your own curtain. Or I just spoke with a house call and we were trying to, part of a concern was a career thing. And it was an area of health and medicine, whatever. And it was like, okay, did you get into that to save yourself? Because that's like what I'll ask people. Like a person will become a trainer because they think they'll lose weight being a master of this craft instead of, right? Or I'm going to get into medicine. Why? Kate Beckinsale, if I could say so. She became a nurse or something. She's got stuff going on, but she's in nursing now to try to, and I'm like, it's one of the gnarliest things where you go to a profession expecting the profession to save you. You end up being an expert on all these things that have nothing, and you're not, and now you're like rooted into this. Anyway, so I was trying to ask her, and she ended up like her posture changed, her eyebrow changed, her face changed when she was talking about this subject. And I'm like, okay, I don't know shit about shit. I'm not a career person. I'm not a this. That right there, you might be passionate about. That right there, you just lit up about. And it was about this area, field of knowledge that I don't even know, but I think it's cool. It's like antique something. And I was like,
Yeah.
boom, I would go down that road and explore that right there. That doesn't mean you get into that. Just like me researching fungus to come up with relationship stuff. Why? Because it seems like fungus is like the original living relationship. Like that's why I went there. I didn't even go to dolphins or otters or like dogs. I just went to like the beginning, because I don't know shit. All right, what's in nature? What's here? What could I learn from? But then maybe in restoring this or going into this or appraising this, you go to this office and then all of a sudden you meet a gentleman and he's got something and you two go off in here and all this, right? We just don't know. But you trailed something that lit you the fuck up. How do we know it lit you up? Because you were speaking emotionally about it. You were talking, you were elevated, like you were amped, and I was like,
Yeah, you were passionate about it.
Can't ignore that. You can't ignore that. And it wasn't, not that passion for making a lot of money is a bad thing, right? If somebody were passionate about that, but it's not, I guess it's just like what the richness of human life is. I don't know. What is it? Alexander the Great. I just wrote this. I'm going to mess it up. Alexander the Great, I think when he passed away, he wanted three things. He goes, I want doctors to carry my casket. I want my riches, all of my riches spread on the roads as my casket goes down. So all his riches. And I want my arm hanging out my casket hanging. Okay. Now I saw this one time. And so if I repeat this, this is going to show how much it hit. Why? I want the doctors to carry my casket because no matter what, medicine doesn't save lives ultimately. Like you can't prevent death. Can't prevent death. And even in that world, Dr. Cassie will say when she was in trying to report cause of death, there were more times there were people that had nothing measurably wrong and the person chose to leave. And then you have somebody coming in with 30 years of stuff all over and they have to pin it to one thing and they lived this entire time and chose to leave. So it's medicine didn't prevent either of those. So don't say medicine prevents death, and death might be more of a choosing. That was something that I had taken from her, where it's like the person actually chooses to leave more than, because you see it thousands of times where there's nothing wrong with them, but
Yeah.
they aren't here anymore. And it's like, oh my gosh, that I just think that makes more sense, right? So anyway, he wants doctors to understand that no matter what, medicine can't prevent death, that death is going to be here. Two, the riches you make end up just staying on earth anyway. So they're on the road. And then three, this part. Shit. I don't know the third part. Look it up.
The arm was moving.
Hand hanging. I don't remember. It was outside the casket and it was hanging. It's supposed to illustrate something. I don't remember. Look it up.
Come back, maybe.
Whoever's in there, look it up. Or if I leave it and it'll come back. But I read it once and I was like, dude, I don't know if that's true. I don't know how much of that. I don't know what the source is. I don't know. But I liked it. I was like, all right, I like it there. What was the point of all that? I don't know. It was just like the elements of change. And when you actually do put forth, to risk, this woman, like what you're passionate about, what like lights you up, right? Again, and it doesn't have to make, I'm very much seeing this in real time. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else.
Right.
Because you going to Serbia in 99.9% of the people that know you, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But to those that might, it's like, oh, yeah, hell yeah, it totally makes sense. And really, it doesn't matter. It's yours. So me going to California didn't make sense to anybody except maybe you. You're like, yeah, fucking, all right, go do it, man. Like, get off my floor. Or even me closing my office doesn't make sense. There was a guy.
You didn't want to be here. Why would you be here? You don't want to be here. That's crazy.
No, it didn't make sense. Business was good. I had family there. We got friends there. We could be social, do all this stuff. No,
Yeah.
it made sense to me. Even closing my office, this kid, I was in a lacrosse place and the kid's, was asking my buddy, he's just like, wait, so he was a chiropractor and then he stopped doing that and like stopped it and then closed his office? Isn't that bad for business? That was like the first thing he went to, right? And it's like, actually, everything has improved in every marker of what I would consider business. And most importantly, my life, like my life and my engagement with my life. You know what I mean? And so you're doing this massive, massive thing. And I just want people to know, like the fucking spirit and the body and the universe just loves action. Any kind of action, just something. And I know I've said this to you because we've laughed.
Yeah.
I sometimes want to dig a hole in my couch and I want to stay there. Right. And it's like, I would expect things to change if I just like laid on my couch. Well, I am changing, my physical body is, but like, no, what am I? All right, just go outside. And then the second I step outside, I have no idea where I'm going. And I just like take a right. And I bump into my neighbor, Cloudy, who's European, and we start jamming about something. And I'll like talk about that. And then I go down this one road I've never been down before, and I run into Diane Chandler. It's like, holy shit, Diane, oh my God. Like, I wasn't going on a walk for steps. I wasn't going on a walk for cardio or my heart or cure depression or do all this stuff. I was just taking action that was different than that shit right there. Laying on that couch, hoarded up. I did lay on that couch for a good amount of time. So I did do that. Right. And then I was like, okay, just like I've watched movies, like I love movies. But sometimes it's like the choice of the medicine you choose, you're numbing the shit out of shit. Right.
Yeah.
Like there's that where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a cinephile, right? That was like 6 in a row. And I think you're going into scripts instead of living your life. I think
you can, but there will be a cost for it.
You got to understand what the pay-in was.
And there is cost.
You would know, and then know that it's not body being against you if you do choose that. And that's why I like extremes on stuff. I just like seeing what happens if I did do that, right? But you're taking massive action. And something else, I don't know if you want to put it out here. I don't know what you're doing with your top of the line equipment, all the stuff you've invested in. Because I remember when
Oh,
I mean, you
uh,
acquired it over time.
yeah, no, well, I don't know. I mean, ideally, I said some clients ask me if they would sort of bite off of me and just keep gym as is. And I said, well, if you guys want to sort of do that, then I'll support with 2, 3 times a week, maybe zoom in and train you that way if you want. That was one idea. The other idea is just find a random trainer or somebody to sell gym as a business equipment and potentially shot at the clients, right, to keep the clientele. The third option is just sell equipment on its own. And the fourth option is just put the equipment at the dump so my and the dirty boys can play on the glute
We
ham.
joked, yeah, that there'd be like homeless doing glute ham.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. I mean, I would like somebody to take over that knows the gym just from maybe a little bit of sentimental reasons, but none of those are really a factor if with what I'm gonna do. Like, is it gonna change my decision or postpone it? No, it'll happen however it'll happen. But anyway, nothing yet really concrete with the gym is happening. But that's what I'm not really trying that. I didn't advertise anywhere. Just ask few people that I know, and clients came with these ideas on their own. But I'm not really trying to push. I just sort of,
Yeah,
because I was starting to get caught up in, oh my God, this, but I'm like, it doesn't really matter. I
right.
can just like leave everything to the building owner and have him sell it and take it. Doesn't really matter.
I
It'll
don't
work out however it will work out. But just wanted to go back. So that's with the gym. Don't know yet, but I'm out August 30th. Yeah, 31st. I should be flying back. 30th is Friday. That should be my last day there,
wait.
unless
The
something.
31st is a special day. What
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It just sort of happened.
what is the
Uh,
31st?
You might have some balloons in the background
there's a
from
very
year
special person
before.
who came to this earth on the 31st of August. It's so cool you did that day for me, V. I appreciate it. By the way, that's my birthday. He's moving on my
Yeah,
birthday
it
on
just
purpose to celebrate me.
worked out like that.
Yeah.
But let me just circle back just so I don't forget
Wait,
real quick.
before you circle back, I don't think
Yeah, yeah,
people
yeah.
realize you referenced the movie Other Guys. I don't think people realize the scene from Other Guys, if you guys have seen it, where they're in the Prius. His Prius is recovered, and
Is it Mike and the Dirty Boys?
the homeless would do all sorts of stuff in the back of the Prius. Will Ferrell's Prius. So Vladdy just referenced the Other Guys. The
Yeah.
Mike and the Dirty Boys would be on his equipment in the alley doing all sorts of dirty stuff. So
Yeah,
all
it
right.
really doesn't matter. Obviously, some things are better, maybe financially wise for me, but none of that will, excuse me, will change what I do. Just just quick circle back. Maybe you'll remember what the hanging hand was for the Alexander the Great. But what you said, people can choose when to go. What Dr. Cassie saw, like
Let me
everything
look
was
this
fine,
up.
they just chose
Sorry.
to go.
Sorry. Go. I'm gonna look it up.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I saw this in real life. This was client of mine for probably 12, 13 years.
And you were
Turned
also in a hospital system too.
Yeah, 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 yeah. This was outside of the hospital, just private in home. I was didn't do in home, but I was honoring it because I started 12 years ago and I didn't want to stop. He turned 92, and then soon after that he passed. What happened was he ended up in a hospital for something, and was there 2 or 3 weeks, and nobody apparently works with these people, or at least with him. He lost the ability to walk, even using walker. And then I saw him at his condo, I guess, or home. Um, can't really walk, can sit, and then things really start snowballing fast. And again, like with the previous gentleman I mentioned, I would go every other day just to see and say hi. Didn't last very long, but once he actually lost the ability to really sort of move and had to be completely conscious, like brain works, knows everything I told him over the years, doesn't
Yeah.
really repeat himself, so totally there. So I see him Wednesday, and yeah, he said, or Thursday. No, I saw him Thursday. And then Friday, the daughter calls me. She said he passed. I said, Okay, condolences. We knew it was coming. I saw him day before. So I saw it in real time. Apparently, they were trying to set up some sort of hospice care, and he would have probably lasted for a few months, if not years, because nothing was that wrong with him, just
Yeah.
physically couldn't go.
Yeah.
And mentally totally sharp, everything working. Anyway, but this guy is so strong-willed that he did not want to do that. And he told me when I was there on Thursday, he asked me to kick everybody out of the room. We didn't do it, but the nurse was there and stuff. He really hated the fact that now they're going to treat him like move him and, for everything else that needs to be done when you can't take care of yourself. He didn't want to do that. So he told the family, wife and the daughter, that afternoon. The daughter told me that later. They said that they're going to start full-time nurses and stuff at home on Saturday. And I saw him Thursday. He speaks with them Thursday afternoon. He said, yeah, I don't think I'll be there Saturday for them. Friday morning, wife comes to check on him. He's there in the morning and then goes back to sleep and leaves. Total conscious decision. Didn't, and I was like, holy shit, that's the power that we have. So rather than being treated like a baby and just make to live another few months or years in completely something that you don't, some people might, and that's fine. He didn't, and he chose to go. And then when you were speaking earlier about the change, I agree, because the mind is so powerful. It takes very, very strong stimulus, lightning bolt or something
Yeah.
of this nature. And it's not going to work on everybody, but it can for that default to be changed or altered. That's one avenue.
Right.
And it doesn't happen often. It can. The
Right.
other one is slower time. And that's what I just
Consistent
wanted to,
with slow.
right, what I wanted to bring back again, that now after all these years of working and being in a field, I know there is a lot more, and it's going to take probably rest of the life to
Yeah.
explore there. And have you seen that movie? I think it's called Henry Sugar or something like that on Netflix. It's like a short film. It's like 20, 25 minutes. Story of Henry Sugar, something along those lines. It might be it's Sugar, maybe it's Henry, something like that. Story of Henry Sugar, or 20, 30 minutes film on Netflix. Anyway, he's trying to get better in reading or seeing through the card, like back of the card, but to see what is on this side through like meditation and centering his mind. I'll bring this up just because it goes along with the time frame that we said everything takes time. Like you're not gonna, chances are it's not gonna happen instantaneously.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a very long time. One of his methods of training in there was he would look at a candle and he referenced some books and stuff. I tried to Google it. Some are semi-real, some are not, but whatever. So he would try to focus on the flame of the candle. And he said, first day he could do it like 2 seconds or whatever. And then it took certain amount of, then he would improve. It would take certain amount of time to get, he wanted to stare at the candle for, I don't know, an hour or a couple hours, whatever the time frame prescribed for that was. And then he could gradually see the back of the card, but see this. And then he would go to casinos and like make all the money because he could just read it. But with the time, why I'm saying that if you watch the movie, you'll recognize it. It took fairly quickly to get to the like 90, 95% of the ability. And there's those last few percents where he can actually do it. Took like 10, 20, 30 times for the time that it took to get like 95, 96, 97%. Right. So the point being, the more you learn, and the better you get at something, that last fine thing will take, for like Usain Bolt said, it took him like 2 or 4 years of something of training to move something like 100th of a second. Right. That last bit is the one that will take a lifetime. Right. Or very long time. If you're athletics, obviously like 100-meter dash or whatever sprints, you don't have a lifetime. It's just the physiology of it. But in terms of learning, you have very, very long time to get better, and just don't rush it. No. And be honest and not in conflict with yourself best you can for whatever it is that you're doing, or just, but slow. Nothing has to be dramatic. Just don't judge yourself too harshly. I guess that's when I was worse, same as you before. Like I would train and be like, if something is off, I say, oh, okay, well, now I'm going to really work this form and stuff and see
Oh
if
yeah.
I can feel this, and usually end up getting injured more. Well, no, there is no reason to do it, but it takes time. If somebody would tell this to us 20 years ago, we were like, no, like, fuck off. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. We're going
Throttle,
to fucking break the concrete. Well, no, it will break
throttle and
you,
go. Yeah.
but it takes time and experience to do all that. And there are a few people that listen and have gotten better over time, that it rubs off on them. But like I said, I'm sort of got to the point that I'm independent. It's helpful, like the emotion in the gym when I announced. After when I thought about it, I really felt it as a high compliment because the words didn't have to be expressed. I don't need to be patted on the back
Yeah.
or told. It's nice to hear or compliment, obviously, although traditionally I'm resilient, I have resistance to it, but I've gotten better in accepting it. But if you express with emotion, even better. But last few years, after these few examples that I gave you guys from real life and my own experience, that I think have some weight to them, or more a lot in some cases,
Sure.
I don't really need validation from anybody,
Right.
really. And what you said before, just circling back slightly, mom and dad and stuff. Sure, they did a lot of things to screw up or not screw up, but they did
Yeah.
best they can, and you can blame them forever for the rest of your life. And it
Right.
doesn't mean that what they did it couldn't been done better, but it's not helping you. It's not going to be helpful
No.
because you still need to take an action. If you're a grown adult person, you can do that, but or you can be aware of that. They didn't know any better, or they did best at their ability. You can forgive them; they will be best. If not, you don't have, but at least you can tolerate. But
Yeah.
it's up to you, man, to change your life. If
Yeah.
you're now, say you're not 20, say you're 30, 40, I think we are talking mostly to, my guess is 30, 40 plus year olds. You're not a baby anymore. You
Oh
got to
no.
take that responsibility. And that's the hard part because it's always easier somebody else there to be at fault, and it's not us. But I'm at that point now that I know everything that I do, it's me. Obviously there's outside factors, but I have to take action and accept how things are that I
Oh
can't
yeah.
change. That's fine, and just choose the level that I want to participate in.
Right.
And that was another big realization that happened over the past few weeks after this, that yeah, I don't require any validation or praise or anything. I'm totally, currently is how I feel about myself, fully self-sustainable without any outside input, just experiencing life and world and nature and things around me and absorbing. And it'll change, for sure it will change
Right.
over time, and changes day to day. But right now, I guess I'm at peace. But no, that doesn't mean I'm Zen Buddha all day. Like, and no, there is obviously there is doubts all the time. There is mood is a little better here, there, but that's all normal. It's not going to be a flat line, and you're not going to be in nirvana the whole time because we mentioned that before. Then how would you know it if you don't have nothing to compare against? If it's always night, how would you know what the day looks like? It's impossible.
No, the
Just
contrast is in you. Yeah.
yeah, you have both. Just acknowledge it and work with it. And some days is better, some days is worse. But if the general trajectory is positive, as we said last time, what are these things? Is this live? That's why there is thumb up and thumb down, or what's happening?
No, I don't know. It picks up on gestures or words and it triggers a thing. Like
Oh, so we
like if
did
I were
some
to say
bad
something like
gestures.
congratulations, it would like rain balloons or
Ah,
it's so
because I saw it and I said, because we got like a thumb up, thumb down. I
I
said, is
know.
this
I don't
live
know.
or we will be all right? So anyway, that's sort of in a nutshell where I'm at. And we really didn't talk about exercises and stuff this time. We, like you said, just sort of try to recreate what we talked about last week, best we can. And neither one of us is at our best today, as we admitted ourselves. But I I don't know. I think we did good. I think I basically mentioned pretty much everything that I wanted to for right now, briefly, in terms of this decision and how I'm feeling and how it came about, and try to illustrate with some real personal examples.
Sure.
Don't want to speak for others, and you have tons also. So yeah, we'll see.
No,
We'll
but
see
hold
what
on, hold
the
on. Alexander the Great. He,
yeah.
he wants his hands to swing in the wind so that people understand that we come to the world empty-handed and we leave this world empty-handed after the most precious treasure of all is exhausted, and that is time. Um,
Yeah.
so
And
whether
you
or
don't
not
realize it until it's gone. What we
that's
said earlier.
true, I
We
dig
all
it.
take things for given and granted, and then once it's taken away, holy shit,
Oh yeah,
but it's
you
hard.
realize.
It's for me, it is. I
No,
need
but I wanted
constant
to talk
reminder.
about another big thing, because for anybody who has enjoyed this or values what Vladi says or I say or we share together, we thought, and we might change, we thought we would offer an opportunity to go even deeper and more practically with a Zoom intensive, how I've been utilizing them on specific subjects. So before I did calf jumps, spinal hygiene, and then I did an advanced one, and then I did book edits, and then I did feet, and then I did hanging. Um, and I have hands coming up, and I'm going to do pelvis, shoulders, and then I'm going to do Tommy John surgery because the 50th year of Tommy John surgery. I want to expose a lot of stuff there. So just like way, way deeper dives that could be more practical, not just these general suggestive banter type things, although will be that way. And if we find it's valuable, um, we will share that coming up. So Vladi would probably be in Serbia when we'd be doing this. You'd be on a computer.
Yeah,
We
she will be there September 1st,
we
but
we do it the same way, but it'll be very
yeah,
specific
internet.
on things that we will want to provide. But it'll be change your life type practical shit, and whatever that is. We haven't really specified it. We were just kind of knocking it back and forth. And whoever finds value in it, great. If we still want to offer it, great. There will be a time investment, a money investment, our money, our time, like everything's going to be, because it's not even over delivered. It's just we're going to deliver it how we know to deliver things. And
That's
so
just how we do it. I think that's what people respond to because we don't know any other way. It
no,
happens all the time. Like I'll have people come sometimes 30, 40 minutes late and they'll tell me, hey, just 20 minutes and I'm out. And I know that, but
nah,
we might even go hour and a half because I just can't help myself
yeah, no,
because they're there and it's more for me. It's
yeah,
more this so I'm clear and at peace with me. So I can never tell to myself, like this person got shorted. Yes, it was their fault, but
no,
I
I
don't
know.
know because it's something that I like to do. And
Yeah,
yes, it costs me extra my time. There
yeah,
is cost in emotion, and
right,
I might have to work through a minute or two of like, fuck, they're late, and now I know they're not gonna ask me, and I'm have like bad attitude. But it takes me 1 or 2 minutes, and then once we start, I said, well, no, they didn't. I'm choosing to because I want to, because I
right,
want to do it for myself. And then
right,
it's like probably better than it would be
right.
because I was like, I was ready. I was checked out. Okay, they're late. I'm done like 30 minutes early. Well, awesome, extra nap. And then I see the car, be like, the fuck, why are they now?
I know.
And then they get better than if they came on time
Sure.
because something just opens up. I said, well, it's not the end of the world. It's only extra whatever, and I want to do it. And then I find myself doing even more
Yeah.
than I normally would, like over deliver, if you will. And also, it's good. Already said it, but just to say it one more time, everything that I tell to clients, and I told this to few, like this, face to face, it's also so it's bounced back at me. I say it more so I hear it also. You chances are not hearing it. Some of you haven't heard it in 20 years.
Yeah.
Some of you did,
Right.
but I do it as a bounce soundboard back to me. So I hear it because
Yeah.
I don't have anybody in my ear telling me this. I talk to myself in my head, but
Right.
when I verbalize it loud like that, damn, it's also, oh shit, God damn, I just tell this guy this. Fuck, I need to be better at that because it
Right.
same applies to me.
Right.
So that sort of loop, I use it also for my own self.
Sure.
And I told them that honestly, it's like if I'm barking and saying this guy, it's more my problem than yours. You're doing you. You didn't change. It's
Yeah.
just my faulty vision of what things to be. But then he'll come back. I'm like, okay, well, why would they? Because I'm not doing it like this.
Right.
So, what the fuck? You do it first. So it's always back and forth process. Like I said, it's
Oh
not
yeah.
a one-way street. If anybody finds value and wants more practical or something from, I can only offer my experience and what I saw really,
Class
or what I
oriented.
read or something,
Yep.
but that's about it. And if not, like I said, I'm perfectly
Right.
content. And I told you, I still do my thing because I've been doing this most of my life anyway. It doesn't have to be working with anybody specific. Could be just me with my dogs over there and freaking roses
Sure.
that are 10 feet tall.
And plums,
And that's
certain
it.
plums. The dude's got plums all over his freaking neighborhoods and walks, like natural
Yeah,
plums.
wild plums, super small,
Um,
tasty, awesome.
no, but we're going to be doing a class, Zoom class. No idea what the topics are going to be. No idea how long it's going to be. So just pin that. I will be sharing that later. But for anybody who would find value in doing in some sort of deeper dive work, practical work with the two of us. Anything else, big guy? Oh, you said
No,
something.
I,
So no. Because you said something that when I was sharing how I was responding, things that I did, things that I said, and things I was acknowledging, and you made a comment. It was in March, and you're like, "Shit, man!" And with all this meditation and all this stuff that you were doing, and it still responded like that, and I was thought about that. Yes, there were elements in my life that were controlled for and improved, and efforts, and but that stuff I'd never touched ever. And so I'm sitting here because I was like, oh yeah. And then I was like, wait, because it was actually a quote from somebody else that said that, like, why are you acting like this? Even with all your meditation, all your stuff. And I was like, wait, can I not get? And I made an excuse for it at that time. And then I look back, I'm like, oh my God. But I never went down and looked at it or did any work with it.
yeah,
Relationships, I'm talking about, like romantic relationship.
yeah,
I never
yeah,
touched
yeah,
it. And so this was the first time with these like 4 or 5 bottoming outs that I was like, that I'm ever acknowledging in my mind and my mindset and my way of thinking and my patterns and all this stuff and wounds and everything else. I didn't fucking touch this in 28 years or 26 years or however many years of dating I've done. But point of me saying is, like, I feel there are people that will go so hard on some of the easier things. Is it easier to meditate, get in the sun, food, training? Oh, hell yeah. To acknowledge what I just saw? No, it was so hard. My skin fucking erupted. I had a cyst in my
yeah.
leg. I was weak. I was tired. I was depressed. I was lonely. Oh, hell yeah. So, like, now I won't tolerate it now that I saw it. It's like I was like, oh, damn it. It's like you almost don't want to see because then you don't know. Right. But then
Well,
once
because
you
it's so intense. That's why there
see,
is all these
right.
protection mechanisms that prevent you. And it's really hard because that's why it's so protected
And
because it has such a weight to it.
it was the physicality that would protect, but my mind was just excuse.
Yeah, that's another
Straight up.
protection.
No, right. And I was just like, conscious mental protection, not a scab. I have nothing to do with the scab. I don't create it in any way, shape, or form. There's no way I can create a scab. It just does it. So, like, my mind, I can choose to make that whether I go. It doesn't just default and then I don't have a choice. We always have a choice. I don't
Yeah,
have a choice to form a scab or not. I don't have a choice to get sunburned or not. I don't have a choice to not sweat or not. I don't have a choice to not grow my fingernails. Like, these are things that, like, I don't care how much you. No, these are automatic, like, fucking all the time there. Now, in addition to this, I never purposefully acknowledged the responsibility accountability, and even just the honesty and truth around, oh yeah, yeah, that has to change if I still want to play in this game, because I don't have to. And that's another thing, right? Like,
Well, at that new level that you say, you can still play at the old level, but now the problem is once you see it, you cannot see it. Once you're aware,
can't,
it's very
no.
difficult because you don't want to accept that's what
Right.
you are, and you want to change it. You
Right.
could accept, like I told you that quote. I'm going to paraphrase from True Detective, the McConaughey character. I think his name is Rust or something like that. When he's with the detectives toward the end, he's there in their office, and he said after all this time, he works at the bar now and drinks whatever days off, starts at noon or 10 or something. He said after all this time, he said, I finally know exactly who and what I am. I'm paraphrasing. And he said, there is a victory in that. So he accepted what he is and got some relief from it.
Yeah.
In your case here, you saw it. So you had two options, right? You could accept that and keep that. You didn't. Well, now that you didn't, holy shit, now it's going to be really hard.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a whole new world now.
Yeah.
And
I could see it, and it all makes sense. And then how I would all make sense. And I've said this all the time. 2 reasons you don't heal. You didn't know you could, or you didn't want to. Once you know, you have to choose not to want to, or choose.
And that's fine. Just choose
not
it,
want
but
to, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
And then acknowledging that, like, I just don't want to work on it. Oh, by the way, this is how I respond in those situations. And FYI, I'm not working on it. And there might be somebody to be like,
yes,
holy shit, that's actually pretty cool. I've never had somebody that honest, you know? But then just in the real time of me with me, I'm just talking about me. I'm not tolerating that. Like, I will not be that version of me. There's no fucking way. Because that's not even just a man on the earth that is okay. I'm not okay with that person being on the earth. Like, I would have kicked his ass. This version of me would have gone back to him and punched him.
Yeah, so now it's a lot of work. And then down the road, you will also see in real time, in real life, when things happen, if the default going to be the same or different, or if you're going to catch it, or it because we can't predict. We don't know.
Oh, what grade? When it comes up, like, what grade? Like, holy shit, it's happening. Because there was stuff that would happen months before, and it would ignore it, and I would sidestep it and medicate it and do all these other things. Like, no. And so we'll see. But I'll report back. But we are doing a class coming up. No idea. September, October, not really sure. But thankful for all those who stayed. Dude, we're coming up on 3 hours.
Oh. I have the time here, but I forgot when we started. But
about 3:30.
I think it was just to catch up. Sort of, hopefully
share the big news of the big guy. You got a lot of stuff.
Give some examples. Hopefully, somebody will find value, and if they don't, that's still fine. It's helpful for me to like I said, to verbalize it and speak these words, not just in my head by aloud like this,
right? Monologue.
Because then it triggers different thoughts. It makes sense too, right? Because when you speak, you also cause the vibrations too in your mouth. When you think, it's different. So I use it also to benefit myself. This what we just did. So if anybody finds value, awesome. If not, it's valuable for me.
We're going to be doing it. We're going to be doing it anyway.
So it's a win-win.
No, I'll tell people that all the time in Zooms, because I will literally go, oh my God, I've never phrased it that way before. Hold on. And I'll write down, because I give them the opportunity. I'm like, hey, if anything moves you, challenges you, or upsets you, let's go down that road right then and there. If you want to write it down real time. If not, I'll put it in the document you're going to get from me. But more times than not, I'm writing down my own shit because I've never said it that way before. And I've never verbalized or emotionally connected. I'm like, holy shit, that was big. And they're like watching like creation in real time where I'm like, damn. And I want to
you stimulate yourself in a different way.
Right. I'm like, are you that moved by that? Well, no, but the thing you said before though, I was like, all right. Cool. No,
that's where we're at.
This was first podcast in a while, and it was to send Vladdy off. He will be coming to California weekend of the 12th. By the way, I got a beach day planned for us. I'm trying to rustle up the the crew here. I have a 10 by 10 big beach blanket, is what it's called, the big blanket, I think. And I got all sorts of treats. Park the rig at the top, so we have food in the rig, food break there. I'm gonna get a pie from Julian. I've talked to you when I've been in the parking lot of those pie stands.
Yeah.
Gonna taste this pie. It's literally going to be the most action packed. I told another buddy I was texting, I was like, I'm trying to plan like the ultimate weekend to show Vladdy what it's like to live in Encinitas. And he was like, that's like impossible because there's just so much to have access to. Morning coffee on the beach, like all of it. Another thing, my place is super small, like limited. I can't even imagine what you're going to be like inside this thing. There's a chance you're going to hit the ceiling.
So I'm used to it. Well, we're not going to be in the place for a lot. Friday
no,
afternoon.
it's sleeping.
I'm guessing beach and outside.
Friday, I'd pick you up. I'd take you by Torrey Pines. I'm going to walk Torrey Pines, go down the beach. There's a nude beach there if you want to go native. Just if you want to experience what it's like. It could be fun for you. There's mostly dudes, but
oh yeah, it's gonna be amazing fun.
Then we can go to Puesto in La Jolla. It's the best tacos I've ever had. It's a good atmosphere. And then Saturday morning, beach, coffee, park the rig, claim a spot at Swami's Beach, food, activities, lacrosse, boards, surfboards, ocean walk. And then this pizza joint right on the 101 right here. It's like this little corner, feels like Italy, and the owners are this spinoff of another restaurant. It's fantastic, dude. And then Lotto across the street, on the street that I'm like a block away from, the street that you and I drove down on the 101 when we were seeing if we wanted to move here or not. We looked at office space on that side. And you're like, oh shit, I wonder how much those are. They're still like some are still open there. And so again, Moonlight Beach, the whole bit, and then Sunday morning coffee, even just sitting outside watching the birds feed on my feeder and smelling the citrus trees.
It's gonna be really good. However,
it's gonna be fun, dude. Yeah. Anyway, so I want to thank everybody who joined in and made it this long. Again, I think people are still expecting their jackets from sitting through the first one because we promised them jackets if they sat through the 5 hours or whatever.
Yeah, well,
so there are people crazy enough and passionate enough to listen to our stuff. But wish this guy the best. He is moving back to Serbia to do what? He is going to live. That is the extent. Live to the fullest, whatever Vladdy deems fit. And then we are going to do a Zoom class in the fall. And I will be giving details on that and sharing that. And I also grabbed a quick clip of you and I in the very beginning of video. So I'm going to send this out. And then Jake's going to go ahead and produce this episode and put like a title screen in the full bit. So it'll be on YouTube and then on the podcast channel. So we can share it with whomever. Maybe some of the people you mentioned might find value in hearing it, might not. But I appreciate you sharing all that because you got permission, obviously, but still,
for that heavy stuff, I did ask just for myself because I'm sure it was okay, but
realize what is gone.
Because these are real stories; these are not made up or I heard something. I mean, I saw this right in front, and made an impact, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. No, you absolutely did. Again, end of an era, but a new start. I'm excited, and
new cycle starts, and then
you might become sort of a botanist, or you might colonize Mars because you're going to take your forestry knowledge and grow potatoes on Mars.
I think it'll be better. Yeah, I think it'll be better.
It's going to.
I don't know. I don't see a downside.
No,
to this. I guess you could, if you wanted to, you could find downsides, but I only see a positive.
But not for you. That's what I'm saying. Like we could. It won't make sense to us. It doesn't have to. It's making sense to you. That's it.
Right. That's it.
No.
Yeah. It's don't be in conflict with yourself, I guess. If you get anything out of this, whatever hours today, I would say that. Just try best you can not to be in conflict with your own self. And if you can just do that, you're doing better than most people.
Boom. I love it. I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to stop recording.
All right.
Boom.